And I believe we are hopefully live, because last time I tried it, we weren't quite live because the audio was cut. So hopefully this time we are live when we go. But anyways, guys, this is the Indie Games Podcast. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I am super excited for this show. Such a great crew we've got together. Achieving some bucket lists today for myself, tick-offs. But yeah, I'm so happy to have pulled together such a great crew of people. We're back for the Indie Games Podcast number 11. We are getting through a few of those episodes now, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to do this show, bring the indie goodness into your lives. If you are a fan of indie games, you are definitely in the right place, guys. And I thank you so much for being here. Yes, as I say, guys, we have got a great crew together. We have also got some cool topics to be diving into today. We have been covering a little bit on the channel recently, as you may have seen, the live reaction shows to the Idea Xbox Showcase and the Future Game Show we did a live reaction of, and they were quite long, but there was some great stuff in there too. What we're going to hope to do today is bring some attention to those awesome games that were shown off, maybe in a bad format, but we're also going to be talking about the format overall of both of the events, and yeah, basically doing a big teardown and dive into highlighting some of the best games from those events, and yeah, the overall feel we have for them, really. And yeah, we're hoping to hear from you too, guys, in the chat. So I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these events as we tackle them. But yeah, firstly, I just want to get into some introductions, guys. And first, I'm going to start off with a very good friend of mine, someone who I love chatting games with regularly, someone who is rising up his sub count at nobody's business of a rate, and I'm absolutely loving seeing it because he has so much positivity and great knowledge for gaming, and I absolutely am thrilled to see him growing so well because he's a great guy and thoroughly deserves it. And it's an absolute pleasure to have him back on the show today. It is Archimedes. How are you doing, brother?
What an epic introduction. Thank you so much, my friend, for having me on the show. It's been a while since I've been here. I think it was the award ceremony you did end of last year. That was the last time I was on your show, and that is way too long because I always enjoyed being here, talking games with you. So I can't wait for today. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, my friend. It's awesome to have you back on. Always such a pleasure chatting with you, and especially indie games, of course. my preference. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, brother. And next up, second down the list, I'm going to work down the list, guys. We have got another guy who I absolutely adore chatting games with. He's made a few appearances on the show recently, and I've had so much fun hanging out with him. He always brings amazing knowledge and down-to-earth takes and a lot of passion for gaming. A very broad knowledge too, which I absolutely love. It's an absolute pleasure to have Luke Steele back on the show today to hang and chat some indie games once again. How are you doing, Luke, bro?
Oh, I'm doing even better after that introduction. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, happy as always to be here, and amazing panel, great topic. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic, bro. Thank you so much for being here. Like I say, I absolutely love hanging out with you, and it's a thrill to have you back on, my friend. And speaking of thrills, I have to say this is one of the biggest thrills I've had on this channel so far. This is I'm sorry to do a little bit of gushing early on, guys, but I'm gonna have to do it and get it out the way. This is a big time bucket list tick for myself, someone who I'm a massive fan of, and to be honest, I could be putting it down to the fact that I'm here today because of him, because I actually found his channel very early on before I even found this community, and that was the sort of gateway into this awesome community which I'm now part of, and it's such a pleasure to be so. But yeah, his content is absolutely incredible. I've followed him for so long. I absolutely loved his Indie Spotlight when he used to do it back in the day, Rand's Indie Spotlight, but now he's moved on from that. He's doing big views, big channel, and it's great to see him still talking about those indies on the podcast too. The Xbox 2 podcast is amazing. Everything he does is amazing. I will stop now because my gushing is getting out of hand. It's amazing to have Randall Thor on the show today. How are you doing, Rand, bro?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for that intro, Indy.
Sorry, it went a bit far.
I'm blushing over here with the with your gushing. But yeah, you've been supporting me since the beginning, since all the way back in early 2016 when I used to post basically my indie spotlights, because I played a lot of indie games.
Yes.
And you've been there from the beginning, so I thank you for that.
My pleasure.
it's my pleasure to be on your podcast today to talk about these some really cool indie games that were shown off at the Future Games Show, as well as the ID at Xbox show that hopefully will be coming out soon. You know, not a lot of dates given at this show, but
True.
We'll eventually play these games. Right?
Absolutely. No, well said, my friend. And, you know, that's one of the big things I've always thought about you is you definitely do play a massively broad spectrum of games, always paying attention to those indies. And, you know, I love that about you, apart from obviously the fact you're a great creator and person as it is anyway. But I always will love the people who play those indie games because I love them myself so much. So high respect for you for that, my friend. And thank you so much again for being on, brother. And finally, guys, we have another amazing guy. It's like I say, this crew is awesome today. I'm so thrilled. Another guy who I've spent quite a few shows with recently, actually, and we actually took in the Idea Xbox stream together. We are now brothers for life because of that long stream. And yeah, I have so much fun checking out streams with him and just chatting indie games and any kind of games with him. He was awesome on that show. He's always awesome, and it's an absolute pleasure to have Scott back on the show today. SX2, that is. Thank you so much for being back on, Scott.
You're very much welcome, Indy. No one does introductions like yourself, mate. So really appreciate that. Yeah, we sat through that marathon together. I think we bonded. We were closer at the end of that show. You know, we've been through some stuff. We've seen some stuff. So yeah, really looking forward to getting into the weeds tonight.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah. Well, I thank you for the kind words. I definitely do not think I'm the best at intros, but I would take that. And I know who the king of intros is, and that would be Lord Cognito. And if I ever get anywhere close to that, I would be over the moon. But thank you so much anyway. It is amazing to have you back on. We have definitely bonded over those long streams, and yeah, really looking forward to this show. I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who has joined us so far. It's absolutely awesome to see you in for this stream. I'm looking forward to this one. I want to shout out a few of you guys as well, because it means a lot and you make this show come to life, so thank you so much for being here. Always great to see Assassin Looper in. Thank you so much for being here, Looper. You're a legend. Great show last night. Stubbs Gaming, how are you doing, brother? Great to see you always, my friend. It is such a pleasure. The Dazinator, my main man, how are you doing, brother? Awesome to see you. He says he's gushing for me. I don't know about that, bro. Love it. May Suko is in the house. How are you doing, brother? Great to see you. Pixel Slapper, thank you so much for coming by. Dragon Wolf, my Boosh bro, how are you doing, bro? Great to see you as always. Who else have we got in here? Smokeback Official in the house. Thank you very much for being here, my friend. And Arodimus even. Thank you very much for stopping by, my friend. Really appreciate that. Good stuff. And everyone else who is here, thank you so much for being here. It is always great to see you in. And yeah, hopefully we can enjoy the indie goodness today. I'm sure there will be some good constructive stuff we're going to talk about on the negative side as well, but that's absolutely fine because it's all productive. But I'm sure we're going to be able to highlight some awesome indie games at the same time too, which is going to be fun. What we're going to do, guys, is we're going to kind of jump sort of straight into maybe tackling, what should we tackle first, the future games or let's see, shall we go yeah, let's maybe have a little chat. What we're going to do, guys, before we get into the deep dive on the games, which we're going to pull up sort of our highlights of each of our favourite games, we're going to dive into kind of more of a broad overlook of what we thought of the shows as a whole. So the Future Games Show and Idea Xbox Showcase. We're going to give a bit of a take on what we thought of the presentation, pacing, etc. So maybe I'm going to fire this one straight up to my man Archimedes. I think maybe we'll take on the Idea Xbox Showcase first, because I'm sure that's going to be quite meaty. And yeah, I was going to get a feel for what did you feel about the Idea Xbox Showcase as a whole, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't what I expected. You know, this almost 4-hour stream it's just not a good format, in my opinion, for highlighting those indie games. I was so happy when they announced an indie-focused event, because in the big shows like the E3 events or whatever, those indie games usually just get overlooked. Yeah, they have that sizzle reel trailer in those shows, but nobody is talking about them. And so I was happy when they announced an indie focused event to give these indie games a dedicated spotlight. But with that very long and boring, to be honest, kind of format. They really pulled away a lot of the excitement from the indie games, because there were actually a couple of awesome looking games in there. And but if you would have streamlined that event into 1 hour with short interviews, like 2, 3, 4 minute interviews, then a good trailer for the game, and move on to the next game, and have that kind of event, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, something like that. A lot of people would have talked about the games after the event, but the only discussion I have seen on social media was how boring the event was, and it's just unfair for the developers. Yeah,
that's the shame, isn't it? When people then become
Exactly.
obsessed by the event and it takes over from the games. That's the real sad part of it, isn't it? Which I can't really blame people for, but I'm definitely trying to get around that for people to try and show the games off. But that is going to be the natural thing, isn't it? Archimedes? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I feel a little bad for the developers who have put together amazing looking trailers. They prepared for the event, and then Twitch actually made such a long and simply boring event out of it. So yeah, I hope they learn from it, and next time they make a indie focused dedicated event themselves, not give it to Twitch to make that format, and just put it in a 60 to 90 minute compact game after game after game kind of event. That would have helped a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you're definitely right about that, because you can see where Idea Xbox had worked on the stuff and handed it to them. Like the sizzle reels were still high quality, and they looked like they'd handed them to Twitch to use, and then Twitch had just around them, sort of done their own thing and very much candidly done it, which is I think is a bit of a shame about that. Yeah, maybe we could do a few rounds on this. Maybe I'll send this one straight over to Rand, if that's all right. How did you feel about the event as a whole, brother?
I thought the content was quality. I thought the presentation and pacing lacked a lot. It was clear to me that this was Twitch's show, and ID at Xbox only provided the trailers. And it was basically on Twitch to promote the whole show. And I understand why Xbox decided to go with Twitch on this. When you look at the showcases that ID at Xbox did last year, they had roughly about 5 or 6 videos, about 15 minutes long, that showcased the gameplay of the indie titles with the developers speaking over them. You remember those ones that they did indie?
Absolutely.
There's like 5 or 6 videos.
Yep, absolutely.
The problem with that is those videos didn't get a lot of views, and that coverage didn't get a lot of write-ups on different websites. So if you're Xbox and you're trying to figure out, okay, we want to get more eyes on these indie games that we've partnered with, that we have come into Game Pass, that have exclusive deals, a lot of them have exclusive deals, what do? Well, they decided that it would best to go to Twitch and have this big show about it, let Twitch run the whole thing, and you'd get more eyes on. And it looks like from that perspective, like more people watching, more people seeing the games, it was a success comparatively to the videos they did last year. Of course, like nobody wants to sit through a 4-hour show. And that was the biggest blunder, was that it wasn't compact and concise. So if they were going to do this again next year or later in the year, there's obviously some things that they need to tell Twitch, being like, listen, first off, you need to get better hosts, because some of the hosts really weren't engaged with what titles they were talking about. They didn't know the names. The interviews themselves, while it's always cool to hear an indie developer talk, you don't need to hear them talk for 20 minutes. So the interviews need to be like 5 minutes max at most. And basically, the show needs to be no longer than 60 to 90 minutes. That's it. Doesn't need to be longer than 90 minutes. You don't need to go into 2 to 3 hour length. An hour and a half is a perfectly suitable length for a show like this. And if you're going above and beyond that, then there's a problem. And that's why everybody was disappointed with the showing, because everybody thought it would be about an hour, and it ended up being 4. And while you had some really cool trailers shown off, it was just punctuated by these really boring interviews with developers and the host talking over each other, and these breaks that were planned. It just was not. Twitch didn't plan this very well. So if they can do it again, but keep those things in mind, keep it an hour and a half, interviews no longer than 5 minutes, I think it would be a much better experience for everybody.
100%, yeah, because you tire, don't you, when you're watching for something for so long. Even me, like I love my indies, so I was feeling fatigued by the end. Like it was like I was feeling fatigued by about halfway, to be honest with you. That was the 2-hour maximum, isn't it? Really, I would say. I mean, an hour and a half is kind of ideal. But yeah, I definitely agree.
In addition to that, they had those 2 girls who moderated the event that obviously had no idea what they are talking about.
100%, yeah.
Also does not help for the excitement in during such a show.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. As I said when we were streaming it felt like we're live reacting to a live reaction show, because they were like basically doing that, weren't they? They were kind of just being like, oh, what's that then? Oh, I haven't seen that before. Oh really? Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, do you like that game? They weren't even like giving insight about the game or anything like that. It was kind of, it felt a little bit strange. It was like some sort of Inception thing going on or something. But yeah, no, it was definitely odd. You like the weird, it was like they'd never heard of editing like some condensed down takes from a developer over a video. Like, why don't they just play, like you see these trailers which have developers talking over gameplay, like I'm going to say it, but like the Future Games show, they did it how they should have done it. I mean, we'll get to that in proper detail, but Future Games show, they edited like developers answering a few questions over video, so you maybe have the trailer go through and then you comes back around for one more playthrough maybe or something, or more gameplay, and then the trailer's about 4 minutes long, and then you still get all that info that you want at the time because you want it to keep flowing. It's just no momentum. But I'm going to stop talking because I want to give everyone else a chance, because I will go off on one. But yeah, great takes there, Rand. That was fantastic, bro. Luke, my friend, I know we hung out for the live reaction of the Future Games show, and Scott, me and you were on the other one, weren't we, the Idea Xbox. But yeah, Luke, we got to enjoy good pacing on the Future Games show. What did you catch the Idea Xbox event as well, my friend? And what did you think?
Yeah, I did. I caught pretty much all of it, apart from kind of 10 minutes, I'd say, within the first hour. So that was the only bit that I missed.
Nice.
And I think, there's not really much more to say on it in terms of the issues of the show that's already been said by Rand on Archimedes, which is that I came away and just thought it was, content aside, i.e. the games, it was pretty dreadful. Because the length of that show in that format is so fatigue inducing that you actually begin to resent some of the games that look good. Like when a game's on screen for 15 minutes, even if it's a great trailer and you're quite interested in it, when it's followed, it's preceded by some inane interview that just keeps dragging on and on and on, you're just kind of like, kind of sick of this now. I just want this to be moved on. I've seen what I need to see. Yeah. And there were just some like weird, not weird in one respect, but some odd choices. I remember there was an Among Us segment that was like 15, 20 minutes long.
That was crazy.
And it was like, it was for a new map. And, I kind of didn't really get it because I don't really think Among Us needs that spotlight. It's probably the biggest indie game in the world at the moment, or very close to it.
No joke. 30-second trailer for that. That's all you need.
Yeah, that's literally all you needed. Yeah, you didn't need an interview about a new map.
Yeah.
There are a lot of brand new games debuted there that could have had a really good spotlight on them for that. And I think the other really galling thing, and I think Rand touched on this, with some of the interviews were pretty pathetic. And it's not until you see a bad interview that you're realizing what a skill it is to actually conduct a good interview. And that entire event was how to do a bad interview, basically, with one exception. I don't know if anybody saw the 12 minutes interview, but that was the most painful.
That was painful, that one. I thought you were going to say that was the good one for me. I was relieved.
Yeah, no, that wasn't good. That was 12 minutes of that was 12 minutes. That was 15
Very
minutes
good.
of asking the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
And just, asking if there's multiplayer in the game. Like, clearly someone, didn't know about this game when they were asked to do that interview. So yeah, there are a lot of frustrating things. And the worst part about all of that is you come away not remembering the games, of which many of it's fantastic, and as we'll talk about, but actually remembering the format. So never again, please, because I don't want to have to suffer through that. But more of the good games and just less talking.
Very good take, my friend. Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it's like, I think, like, Xbox have done good stuff like that. ID Xbox have done good little videos which mostly go under the radar, like Ram was saying, actually. And they've done little like interviews, and they've actually utilized the ID Xbox team in the past as well for those kind of stuff as well. So I don't know why. I mean, I get why they're trying Twitch, because they're big, like Ran said again, and it makes sense in that way. But for this format, it's completely wrong, and it's like they've just gone for completely candid, like they're doing one of their own streams of they're doing a game stream or something, and they're just going completely candid and off the cuff, I think. Yeah. So but yeah, definitely. By the way, guys, just feel free to jump in if you ever want to just jump in with a take. Definitely just jump in with that. We don't have to go like regimented each person each time, but I'll pass it around. But just feel free to jump in if there's anything burning you want to say. But yeah, I'm going to pass this to Scott next. We did soak it up together, didn't we, Scotty? It was bonding as brothers, but it was good. I did enjoy the games, and it was good in that respect, which I now take away from it. But at the time, my back was caning.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. It says something when we were getting nearing the end of the show, and we were genuinely asking the question, like, do we just stop now?
Yeah,
because it's getting that long that we would genuinely considering just stopping streaming at the time, which I think is telling the format. Obviously, Archimedes, Luke, and Randy himself have covered a lot of the problems of the format, and I think just to touch on a few things that the guys had mentioned, I think it all comes down to the fact that it was Twitch. It felt at times like they were trying to highlight the Twitch streamers just as much as the games, which obviously isn't what that show should have been about, and isn't what I as a viewer wanted to see. I didn't really care what those people thought of them. I just wanted to hear from the developers to see the game in action. But because it was Twitch, it had to be live, which meant that you had to have these presenters. You had the awkward silences. I think Luke touched on the 12 minutes interview, and I think was that Technique who interviewed the developer for 12 minutes, and I think he said something on the lines of, I could ask this guy questions for days. And then proceeded with just silence because he didn't know what to ask. And obviously, being in a live format obviously allows those situations to happen. These guys are obviously good at what they do. They stream live to people all day, every day. But interviewing developers is a completely different thing, and as Luke mentioned, there's an art to it. And had it been something pre-produced or something, pre-recorded, they could have added some production. They could have cut down some of the questions. If there was a repeat question, which there were many, they could have just cut that out. They could have cut out the awkward silences, and just made it a lot more concise. I was actually at the beginning of the show, I thought the pacing at the very beginning for maybe the first 5 minutes was actually pretty decent, because you remember they went in and they kind of opened up with the sizzle reel at the beginning.
The Ascent was like the second one or something, wasn't it? Or somewhere around
they
there.
started with Exo Mecha and Unknown and the Ascent and Bullet Train. There was the pacing at the pacing at the beginning of the first 5 minutes of the show was actually pretty good. And had they kept that tempo up for maybe an hour to 90 minutes, then I think we would have been coming away with a completely different opinion. I still would have thought the live show environment of it and the interviews, there would have still been problems, but we would have maybe come away with a different impression. And as has been mentioned, the problem with that is it took away from the bloody good games that were shown off. And I would love to hear what a developer who had a game shown off thought, because you can't discuss this show without discussing the presentation. And that's not what the developers want. I'm sure that's not what Xbox wanted either. Next time, just don't go with Twitch. Do something yourself. I understand what Rand's saying, and maybe that type of show doesn't get the views that maybe they would want and spotlight that these indie games deserve. But yeah, try something different. Try something pre-recorded where possible. We spoke about at the time something like what Nintendo does or what Sony does with State of Play. I think that format is just far better suited to this type of show.
Most definitely, my friend. Yeah, like there are other events out there. If you enjoy your indies and you keep your ear to the ground for these kind of events, there are other Twitch kind of style events which are like, I don't know if you've heard of it, Indie Live Expo, which is like a 4-hour thing. Anyone heard of Indie Live Expo by any chance? Probably not.
I can't say I have.
No, that's fine.
But if it's a 4-hour show, that was actually the other problem. We didn't really know. I don't think Xbox really did a good job of maybe setting expectations. I think maybe they should have been like, look, settle down. This is going to be a long one. We're going to be deep diving with developers. We're going to be showing you. I mean, they'd already said they're going to be showing 100 games, but we kind of assumed there was going to be maybe 5 or 6 sizzle reels where we maybe have a minute or two of like 10 to 15 games at once. The expectations weren't set, which I think again was part of the problem.
That is it. Yeah, all it was, I think they had it scheduled on the Twitch sort of like scheduler or something. That was the only way, and maybe I realized that after that. I'm not a Twitch kind of guy, so I don't really know. They should have definitely said it in the tweet and stuff that it was gonna be. It should not have been that long for certain. I think they need to go back to recording the interviews and then taking the best bits of the interview, editing it over gameplay of the trailer, and it just works so well. I think I really like those kind of trailers. I just don't understand why they didn't go for it. But they were maybe experimenting, trying Twitch. Twitch is a big platform. Do you think we'll see, going back to you, Rand, quickly, do you think we'll see them move away from Twitch because of this? Or do you think they're going to pursue and just try and change it up maybe with Twitch? What do you reckon, bro?
I think they'll probably partner with Twitch again. They'll just tell Twitch exactly what they need. Because I think at the end of the day, people's reactions and how they feel about the show only really kind of affects in the moment, like that day, and then people kind of like, whatever. But what Microsoft wants more than anything is eyeballs on the content. And if that's the goal, which I know it is the goal, then they'll be happy with the increased views and the more outlets actually covering the event, writing up articles and all that stuff. So I think they'll probably do it again, but this time they'll definitely have given feedback to Twitch about how it needs to be a certain length and stuff like that. So I'd expect them to do it one more time at least. Yeah,
I think you could be right actually. Funnily enough, one of my tweets that I said the showcase was definitely off pacing wise. Basically what we're saying now, I said negatives about the presentation, pacing and stuff like that, and I said awesome games though. And then funnily enough, Chris Charlotte actually replied to the tweet, which was pretty cool, and he said, I don't fully 100% agree, but I definitely agree on the games. So it kind of makes me think they're going to pursue it more with Twitch. If he said that, he's saying he's preserving the future of that relationship by saying that. Maybe I'm not thinking too much into that, but that's what I think it might feel like. Because he's not saying, we're definitely not doing that again. I mean, I suppose maybe that's just a way that he would talk. He wouldn't necessarily slag off his own work, but it maybe felt to me like his response was like, we thought there was productive stuff there which we could tweak, like you've just said there again, Rand. So it does get eyeballs on it, as you say. I mean, has anyone else got any take on that? Do you think they'll be sticking with Twitch, or what do you think they need to do going forward to change things up? Anyone else, maybe?
I think there's a good chance that they stick with Twitch. And Rand, if you don't mind me asking you a question there, mate. You mentioned that the show you felt sort of was successful in getting more eyeballs on these. I don't know, when I was watching, there was maybe 35k watching at any one time across the two channels. I'm not too sure, with Twitch not necessarily being a YouTube where you can sort of watch the video. I know you can get VOD on Twitch, but maybe not having it on YouTube. Do you think that harmed the sort of eyeballs on this show? Do you think, did the format actually get more eyeballs on the games and on the spotlight? Because when I was watching it, I was thinking 30k, 35k wasn't necessarily the biggest. I mean, we got to remember it was sort of 9 a.m. in the US on a Friday as well. So, the time was difficult. But if you compare that to something like the last Nintendo Direct, I know they're completely different, and I wouldn't expect the same sort of numbers. But those, I'm pretty sure there was like over 1 million people waiting.
Indie Worlds get mega numbers. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Good question.
And I do wonder whether what viewership they would consider this to be a success. Like what number would they be looking at?
I mean, you look at last time they did those videos on YouTube, right? And they did like 5 or 6 of them, and clearly they thought that wasn't the way to do it. That they wanted to partner with Twitch because they wanted more exposure for the titles. So, it would be basically up to them. Like, was the trade-off to just only be on Twitch worth it for more people seeing the content? And only, they would be able to tell, 35,000 watching at a time, concurrent, like that's not really 35,000 people. That's a lot more because people come in and out. So if you probably add up just the YouTube video numbers from last time versus how many people actually probably watched this, I would say it's probably way more people watched it on Twitch. And I mean, compare Nintendo Directs to this is everybody loves Nintendo. They don't do Directs that often, and people tune in for that stuff.
It's not a fair comparison. I know, but I guess it's just I'm curious as to, and I know it would be difficult without having someone like Chris Charlie maybe on the show. Like when they were looking at that, what metrics were they looking at that would say, right, this was a success or not, or this was better than how they did. I think
it just comes down to exposure and how many people watched it and how many outlets wrote articles and all that stuff. I think that's what they're looking for, and that's why they partnered with Twitch in the first place.
There was definitely a lot of articles around us. I noticed that for sure. There's a lot of people covering it as well, which seems to me. Sorry, were you going to say something there, Scott?
I was going to say, that is actually a very, very valid point. I did see a lot more written articles on about the show after the fact, and I guess the timing of the show being early, obviously, a lot of people were probably going to be tuning in after the fact. And I think obviously the length of the show meant that some people who didn't catch it live, if they were going to watch it back, probably thought that's maybe too long. I'll go and read up.
That's actually what your good man Jez said, I think, isn't it, Rand? I think he said we've got loads of hits on that article because it was so long. I think he said that on the show, I believe.
Yeah. People wanted to know what was actually at the show, but didn't want to watch the entire show, which is, pretty bad. Like it's 4 hours long, but hey, you want to check out some trailers that are up on YouTube or some articles showcasing. Well, that was the other problem with the show was we talked about the length, which Archimedes said was, we all agree is the biggest problem. Nobody wants to sit for a 4-hour show. Hell, I wouldn't want to sit for a 4-hour Bethesda Xbox Game Studio show. Yeah. Because that's just way too long, right? 4 hours is too long. Nobody has the time for that. We talked about the interviews and stuff. But the other 2 areas that I'd like to mention basically were how a lot of these games have exclusivity for the Xbox ecosystem. And they weren't properly mentioned or brought up in any way. Like a lot of these games are only going to be on Xbox and PC and so like I feel like that needs to be highlighted more. And same thing with Game Pass. A lot of these games, well, obviously we know like 20 of these games are coming to Game Pass day one, and you didn't really know that until like the very end of the show when they did that sizzle reel, right? So like I sort of feel when they needed to do a better job of highlighting, okay, these games are exclusive to the platform, these games are also Game Pass day one, instead of like here's a trailer at the end and these are all the Game Pass titles. Like that stuff should be like you're watching the trailer, and the trailer should have like you have right now playing, like it has Game Pass play day one and then the name of the title. But like when they actually go through that for the longer games, like that should be on there. It should have the text, the iconography, so people could look at it and know, okay, this is exclusive and this is Game Pass. They shouldn't have to sit there and wonder, well, okay, can I also be able to play this elsewhere? So that's also another thing that like they need to kind of work on is highlighting what games are exclusive and what games are coming to Game Pass day one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely agree. You shouldn't have to go to a different website just to see which games are exclusive or come to Game Pass and stuff like that. If you decide to spend that 4 hours, it should be clear to you.
I think that's the thing. If it wasn't quite so long, it might have felt like that was fed to you quick enough, if you know what I mean. Because they did do the trailer where it rounded all of them up. If that came to you in a decent time, I mean, they did have Game Passings, by the platforms at the end of the games. But I guess you have to be ultra clear. Like, I mean, it was in a roundup, but the fact that it was 4 hours long, I think that was the reason that it felt like that wasn't highlighted. If it was like brought into an hour stream and then you were like, there you go, I've definitely seen that because I've not tailed off too early or whatever. But yeah, they need to make sure that they leverage that, because that's a good perk for them to use. But as far as as far as the event goes, I think we're going round on that one. It's definitely too long. That is a big factor. I will be very interested to see what they do next. I think I really would love to see them do these edited style recorded interviews over the game and that kind of stuff. That would be awesome. Let's still segue. First time I've tried it. Moving on to the Future Game Show. That is how they should do it, in my opinion, guys. So I'm interested to know, comparatively to the Future Game Show, I know what I feel about that. Did you, all of you guys, check out the Future Game Show? I know I checked it out with Luke. Obviously, we did the live stream, but maybe let's fire this to Archimedes first. Did you check out the Future Game Show, my friend? And we're just focusing at the moment on the presentation-wise. What did you think of that, my friend?
Yeah, well, I didn't catch it live because of the time delay.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But I watched it on demand later. It was what the ID at the Xbox show should have been format-wise. Yeah. Well paced, well presented. There's really no complaints about the format.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't have the games for the Future Game Show quite as much as the ID Xbox, and that's debatable, obviously, on preference. But presentation-wise, I felt like that is just what they need to be going for, really. Is that your first time you've checked out Future Game Show, my friend, or have you checked out them last year?
Yeah, I didn't watch it last year. It's been the first time for me. I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. Also with the announcements and games that they have shown. We'll get into those in a second, but there were quite a few good things in there. So yeah, I really liked it.
Definitely, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, they do have a nice little, nice way of doing it, and they bring in. Voice actors as well, which I think is cool. They've had Nolan North before, which is really pretty cool. He's got a bit of charisma and, adds a little something to it. They don't keep it too long. It's not too long-winded. Like, he's not going on for ages and ages like I do on this show, but he does a, nice bit of humor there, and they keep it rolling. They keep that pacing going, because there was no pacing in the ID Xbox showcase. It broke the pacing every time they started to get going. They stopped, came back, and sort of started it up again, which was so bizarre in my opinion. No momentum at all. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the Future Games Show. They do a good job in my opinion. They should. I almost replied to Chris Charla, have a look at the Future Games Show, but I actually deleted it and then decided not to do that because I don't want to fall out with someone I respect so highly. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that would be good advice. Maybe someone else could say that to him. But yeah, I think Future Game Show was good pacing-wise and presentation-wise. Luke, my friend, you checked it out with me, didn't you? So how would you compare it to ID Xbox, brother?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of format, it was just a world of difference, wasn't it? It was just so much easier to sit through. And, I think it was it about an hour and a half, 2 hours, ultimately?
Yeah, I think it was hour and a half. Yeah, maybe two. I'm not sure. I think it was hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they had a bit of a pre-show, didn't they? About 15 minutes.
That's right. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So it was just as has been said, pacing was just so much better, and I think part of that is because of how pre-recorded and spliced together it was. It was done very well. As you said, having the hosts that they do on the Future Game Show helps, because they tend to be, game professionals in some manner, usually voice actors, right? So on this one, it was the two of the main voice actors from Resident Evil 3 Remake.
That's right, yeah.
And they don't, they have kind of those kind of banter moments that sometimes can get a bit cringy, but luckily they don't keep them on for too long because they realize that people aren't tuning in for that. Like, that's just a nice kind of background thing. So I think that was well done.
That's important as well. Like you say, it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's just a nice little extra touch kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't have really, even when they were presenting games in an extended format, like Axiom Verge 2, for example. Yeah, they had a developer commentary over that.
Yes,
but it wasn't too long. It was kind of 5 minutes, and it was kind of all the essentials of what you need to know about that game and why you might be interested in it, and then that's it, on to the next game.
100%. And that was 5 minutes and really nicely delivered. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, but like that gave the history of Axiom Verge to people who didn't even know about the original game, and also didn't feel like long at all, and it gave great information, and you saw the gameplay while it was happening, so you didn't feel fatigued at all. Sorry to cut you off, but that's definitely agree with you, my friend.
100%. So that made a lot of those segments more bearable, because they're always more bearable when they're condensed into kind of 5 minutes. So yeah, I like format wise, I had no complaints against that show, and we'll get onto the content, but even the content surprised me, actually how good some of it was. So I was really pleased, and as I say, it was a world of difference from the idea Xbox show.
Yeah, definitely, my friend. This is actually what on the screen at the moment is Future Game Show now, by the way. And this is actually one of those, again, sort of trailers, and then they do the director of the game is talking over it at the moment, so the developer. I think that format is great, and, it's good to hear from the developer. I love hearing from developers, but I just don't like hearing from it when it's going round and round the houses, asking stupid questions like you said before. Like, is a multiplayer game when they're talking about 12 minutes? Come on, you should have known that before. Like, get to the juicy questions. We don't want to know about that. Come on. We'd like to, if he'd have asked about how does the play-by-play gameplay work, that would be really interesting to hear, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like, the question is always a good one that, like, is there one ending in the game? That's a worthwhile question. But yeah, like,
but also he
that's
also
all right.
Stop asking about like the plot points of that game. Like he was basically getting to the point where he was like, okay, so what happened? And it's like that entire game rests on its narrative. Like, that's so the whole point of that game. I'm not going into that game being like, I can't wait to pick up a frying pan or something like that. I'm like,
exactly.
Like, he's not going to tell you, oh yeah, well, actually, it's X, Y, and Z. That's just
definitely. He's like, can you combo in this game though? That's what I want to know. Definitely, my friend. That's awesome. Awesome stuff. So, Rand, my friend, did you check out the Future Game Show?
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of it. Definitely a better pacing, better presentation than the ID at Xbox One. My only complaint was some of the jokes between the two hosts got a little cringy and stale towards the end. Like, they tried to banter back and forth off each other, and it wasn't very, I don't know, like, real. It was kind of just, it was fun at first, but then the more it went, they kept on going back to the well, and some of it wasn't very interesting.
That's fair.
I also feel like the games at the Future Game Show weren't as interesting as the ones at ID Xbox. So I found myself kind of dazing in and out when I was watching it to see if I was going to be interested in this game or the next game, and there wasn't too much from this show that I was super interested in, but I kind of wish the presentation, like the Twitch ID at Xbox had stole the presentation for this, because it was much better.
Definitely, my friend. Yeah, no. Is it the first time you checked out, or did you check out last year Future Game Show? Or
I don't remember if I saw last year's Future Game Show. I'm going to say no, I didn't.
No problem at all. Not many people have sort of know about it. I know it's only Games Radar's own channel thing that they do, which is really cool. But it's not like a major thing, but I like the fact they do it. It's really cool. There's also the Escapists, that channel. They do showcase as well. What was I going to say? I was going to say, no, I've completely lost it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like this time, I didn't feel like the presenters were quite as charismatic as, like I said, Nolan North when he did it. He was good, and maybe the last time as well. That was the guy who was the Metal Gear Solid guy who did it, and they were better as well. I thought there wasn't. I think they actually put less of an emphasis on them this time. They kind of didn't show them on screen very much. It was more of a voiceover, but yeah, so that's probably a good thing because you might have got bored of them even more then. But yeah, no, it's a good presentation. No, and it's yeah, I like the way they do it. Nicely edited, nice graphics and stuff like that. It does make a difference, I think. But yeah, so Scott, my friend, I haven't come to you, have I, on this on the Future Games show? Sorry if I've gone around the houses a little bit. Did I come to you, Scott? Sorry. Oh, he's off.
Not just
sorry.
yet, Andy.
Sorry, my friend. You okay?
For a moment there. Yeah.
That's all right.
So yeah. I checked this out with you. Well, I was watching your stream of it, so I actually didn't catch a lot of the stuff that you guys mentioned about, like the maybe the cringeworthy exchanges between the hosts, because I think maybe a lot of the time you guys were talking over some of those. So I didn't catch an awful lot of
it's all our fault.
That. Obviously,
take care of that. Yeah, no.
I mean, if anything, it sounds like you saved me from so I should be thanking you for that. But obviously, I don't want to just echo what everyone else has said, because I think you know, presentation-wise, I think a lot of us are in agreement with you know, if you would sort of merge these two together, you had the ID at Xbox content, the Future Games Show presentation. I think we all would have been coming away very, very happy. I think the only other criticism that I would have on the Future Game Show, beyond maybe the overall content, and there were some good games shown, obviously, was maybe I felt we maybe had seen a few things that I'd already seen enough of. I know Kena, however it's pronounced.
I say Kena, but I know a lot of people say Kenna. So I would say Kenna would be double N, you see. Kenna would be, Kena is one N. That's what I go for.
Yeah, but I heard an interview with the developer, and she with one of the developers, and she pronounced it Kenna. So that's stuck in my mind now.
Yeah, developer can't argue with the developer, I suppose.
We've seen a lot of that over the past few weeks, and while it is a highly anticipated title and it's been pushed quite a bit by Sony, I feel like I've seen it a lot, and I don't necessarily think they brought anything new with that game, and maybe something similar to Returnal that was shown off, which I thought looked good, but again, we had seen gameplay stuff from PlayStation fairly recently on Returnal as well. And if I remember correctly, did they show off Oddworld at the Future Games show?
They did show off Oddworld,
every show.
Yeah, and I'm honestly sick
fair enough
seeing that bloody game, if I'm being honest. So
that's coming out really soon, isn't it, that game?
Yeah, it's on. It's PlayStation Plus, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the only other criticism I would have is some of the you know, I'm doing air quotes here, but the bigger games that they had at the show were things that we'd already seen a lot of, and maybe we didn't necessarily need to see more. You know, I'm already think Kenna looks great. I actually think Returnal looks great. I couldn't care less for Oddworld, but that's because I've seen so much of it over the past year or so. But those games, I didn't necessarily need to be highlighted at a show like this, in my opinion. And I think people who are watching the Future Game Show, with that being one of the smaller showcases that'll be around, you know, it's not as big as maybe a State of Play or something like that. They will have likely already seen that World trailer, or they've already seen, and they're already looking forward to Kenna, or the same with Returnal as well. So that would be my only other criticism of
no, that's totally fair enough, because I felt the same about Kena. I say I don't know, whatever it is, that game, but I'm super excited for it anyway. But yeah, it wasn't a new announcement. The release date had already been announced for like Kena already, so that was at the State of Play. I think that got confirmed as August. So excuse me, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's sort of, there wasn't anything really brand new kind of juiciness in that way. But yeah, again, I think definitely presentation wise really nice, and I did get quite a bit out of it. There was some good games there, which we'll get into very shortly. But yeah, like I think we're all in agreement that the idea Xbox need to have a little look at that format, and hopefully next time we'll get a more concise delivery, and we'll be able to really just like soak it up without any sort of fatiguing feeling that when we're watching it, because like we've all said, it does reflect on the games. Even though the games are glorious, the games, wherever the games are, they look good to me, but then it becomes a situation where the presentation starts to sort of get in the way of the games, which is a real shame. And that is why we are doing this show, really, guys, so we can actually hopefully pull it back a little bit and bring the games back into your thoughts. And you may have thought, blimey, I'm going to sleep, I'm not watching this anymore. I'll go and look up a Windows Central sort of article on it, or maybe you'll check out this show now and we will hopefully fill you in on some of our favorites. But I would absolutely love to hear what your favorites are from these shows too, excuse me. But I think what we're going to do now is transition into highlighting some of our best games from these events. And I think we should start off with the Idea Xbox event, guys. But just before we do, I'm going to say a massive thank you to everyone who is hanging out with us. You guys are legendary. It really does mean the world to have you here with us. Hit that like button if you would. I don't say it enough. Always nervous too, so thank you very much if you do so. It really does help and it is massively appreciated. I just want to shout out a few of you guys. Fastback has joined and it's awesome to see you, brother. Thank you very much for coming by, Fastback. We have Mike in the house from NLG, back from the dead. Dragon Wolf has joined us. Thank you very much for being here. Invader Gaming in the house. Great to see you, Invader bro. And Judzilla in the house. Assassin Looper. Meisuko. And Aaron Summers in the house too, and HTK. Thank you so much for being here, all you guys. Everyone else as well who I haven't mentioned, you are all fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. Just like I say, I'm going to quickly go read out a couple of comments because I did ask the chat how they thought about the shows as a whole, and we had a couple of responses. One from Assassin Looper who says she much preferred the Future Game show 100%. I'm guessing she's talking about just the format wise, and we'll get to the games in a minute. And we got one from Judzilla as well. Much better format, the indie gamer. Tighter presentation, thumbs up. Great games on both, but prefer the Future Game show format. Nice, my friend. Very good stuff. Let us know, guys, if you haven't mentioned already. If you wanted to let us know, feel free to ask any questions along the way as well, guys. I'm sure we'll be able to answer them if you did want to fire any questions our way too. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. You're part of this show as well. Thank you so much for being here, guys. And yeah, let's get on then, guys, and move into the Idea Xbox games. What we're going to do is we're going to sort of dive into maybe like our 3 to 5 picks roughly. It's very, it doesn't have to be specific, however many you want to do. And I'm going to ask each person for your favorites from each of these showcases. And yeah, like what I'll do is I'll bring some of that up as we go. But let's see. Let's hit up my man Archimedes first for this one. I'm just wondering whether I should do this one game at a time or we should do all of your hits at once. I think we'll do one game each at a time and then see how that goes for one round, guys, if that's all right.
All right.
See how that works. Okay, so Archimedes, my friend, what would be your picks of the games? So let's start with your first pick from the Idea Xbox showcase, brother.
Okay, I start with no particular order, but of course, one game that stood out is Song of Iron. The game just looks incredible. You and I, we had a chance to play an early build end of last year. It plays really well. The mood is incredible. It reminds me a lot of Inside, with a little bit more action, of course, having the melee combat in there. But that game looks amazing. In the trailer that Joe, the developer, has shown, he showed a lot of new environments, a lot of colorful environments this time. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to play it.
Hell yes, my friend. Yeah, no, that trailer is looking awesome. Nice new little additions he's added, hasn't he? Like, we obviously have talked a lot about Song of Iron, and both of us have been quite close to Joe speaking behind the scenes. So we're lucky in that regard because we are very much excited for this game, aren't we? So, Song of Iron is looking awesome. The new trailer looks like it's adding some nice new elements, doesn't it? So, what do you think of this kind of? Is it like some sort of dinosaur in the background that's flying across? Do we think? What did you make of that one on the?
I thought it was a dragon. Or something.
Yeah, that intrigued me.
There it is.
Yeah,
it looks. It looks amazing. Also, that X throw when he pulls back the X reminds me a lot of God of War. Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. That's shameless, isn't it? Shameless edition. It looks awesome. But yeah, that is a fantastic pick. Song of Iron looks so damn good. Great pick, my friend. Yeah, cool, good stuff. Shall we? Yeah, let's get a second one from you, Archimedes, my friend. Let's go for your next pick, my friend.
Okay, then the Ascent really looks awesome. I love Diablo. You know, it's I've said it before. I think Diablo 3 is the game I put the most hours on the Xbox One in. I think I love these kind of games. And this Diablo meets Cyberpunk kind of game. Can't believe that a small studio like this can pull off such an actually AAA looking kind of game. Yeah, I mean, look at all the details, the effects, the lighting. It looks amazing. Can't wait to play it.
100%. Yeah, you know, I'm excited for this bad boy. As you heard in my video, check out my video, guys, if you fancy checking out a video on the Ascent. Sorry about the plug. But yeah, if you wanted to know sort of like everything we know kind of ish so far, pretty much, then yeah, I've got a video on it. But yeah, I can't wait for the Ascent. I mean, 4-player co-op as well, my friend. We're going to have to get on that.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
100%. Yeah, but this new trailer, did you not feel? This is how I felt. I felt it had a bit of a step up in the visual clarity and just, you know, punchiness. Did you feel the same way about it? Or
yeah, the colors are a lot more popping and the effects come across way better. The particles are there. Also, the animations look at least a little more fluent. Yeah, it looks great. And
yeah, it does look fantastic. A lot of people on the loot scene are excited for this as well, because I know like people like Ains is really excited to find out how much of emphasis they're putting on the actual loot side of things for a long-term appeal, if you see what I mean. Yeah. I'm not as much of a looter shooter kind of guy. I don't sort of play the Division and stuff like that, but yeah, he thinks like I was on his show the other day and he said, you know, a good long-term appeal for this game if they can get the loot right, which I definitely think
I talked about that also with Ains. Oh, did you? Interesting. Not every game needs an end game.
That's true.
It's totally fine to have just a fantastic playthrough of a campaign, and then you have it to it. So.
That is true, actually, and it does make me wonder, because they are a team of 11 people, so, you know, maybe they are not thinking about that so much, and maybe they're thinking about more of a sort of rich experience of a story kind of thing. So maybe I should have told him that. I should have said that. So good point. But yeah, regardless, I am all in on the Ascent. It is absolutely fantastic looking game, and I'm pretty sure someone else is going to say this as well, which is totally fine, guys. If one of your picks is the same as someone else's, that is totally fine. But yeah, the Ascent, man, is so damn good looking. Really ready for this game. Good stuff. Okay, we'll move on from there and we'll come back to you, my friend, for some more of that
all
goodness. Right. But thanks very much for those. Yeah, so maybe let's move on to next. Let's go for Luke next, shall we? Hit me up with your first pick from your the best game you thought was shown at the not necessarily the best, but one of your picks from the Idea Xbox, my friend.
Yeah, so I think for me, actually, the best game that I thought was shown, or at least the biggest surprise, was Death Thor.
Yes, my man.
Which, you know, the kind of second that game came up, I was just all in on it kind of instantly. And that is, you know, it's a game made by a small team. They made Titan Souls, if anyone played that, which was a really, really cool game.
Yeah, I did have a look at that. I hadn't played it, but I could definitely see where the evolution from this game, that game to this.
Yeah. I mean, certainly Titan Souls is a lot smaller scale than this release, which looks to be a big step up in many respects. But yeah, I mean, it's an isometric action adventure game. They were kind of explicit in that it's not a roguelite title. It's a kind of single player start to finish experience, which is a nice change. But obviously, you know, the view and the way that game plays, it draws a lot of comparisons to, I think, roguelite games that have come out recently, you know, well, semi recently, like Hades, etc.
Definitely.
But it is a single player game campaign, but you will be able to kind of upgrade your your abilities and your character and your weaponry as you go through. And it's all about that kind of, in much the same way Titan Souls was kind of, you are comparatively weak in this world, so you can be killed quite quickly, and it's all about mastering your movement and your abilities to try and get around enemies. So, all of that just spoke to me. I just think the art style and the visuals in general, the whole, aesthetically, it's just an incredible looking game. And yeah, it was just awesome, and it really, really blew me away as soon as it was shown. And it was quite easily, I think, the best thing, in my opinion, that was shown at the show.
Nice. It definitely gave me Tunic vibes, but darker, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you got that as well.
Yeah, like a Dark Souls version of Tunic.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely the closest we got to Tunic in the
It was,
show, unfortunately, I think.
But, for people who missed out on Tunic, who wanted it, that's there for you.
Yeah, it was. It looks fantastic.
And I'm really sorry because I'm struggling to find it. There it is. I've had to pull it up on... So sorry, I actually missed downloading that trailer. So now that you finished talking about it, I have found it.
There it is.
Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, Dev's Door looks amazing. Maybe I can ramble on for another minute to say... But yeah, to be honest with you, though, I can talk a little bit about it maybe if you wouldn't mind. Because do you know what? This is actually my pick of the event as well. Because this one came out of nowhere, in my opinion. And this is coming from Devolver as well. So that's a stamp of approval. That's like, it's going to be good almost. But the animations in like cutscene at the start, do you remember us watching it? And it was Scott, wasn't it, I was watching this with, and all of a sudden you're thinking, what kind of game is this? And then all of a sudden it completely takes you by surprise what kind of game it is. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you I think you might have said something about it being teased before. It was a bit that's just been shown on the stream there, actually, with the sort of like the octopus looking.
That's
thing.
Right. Yeah.
Came out. I think
that was on Twitter. Yeah, that little image, just that was quite cool.
But I agree completely. It caught me completely by surprise. You see this bird in this really dark environment, and then all of a sudden he whips out a sword. It did catch me by surprise, but I'm in agreement with both you, and look, I think that was definitely one of my highlights. And I was surprised to read afterwards that it's apparently meant to be quite humorous as well, which I think is difficult for games to get. I was doing a little bit of just reading up on it ahead of the show, and the developers talked about how they wanted to sort of introduce some sort of a particularly British humor as well, which I found interesting, because I think humor is something very difficult to do in games.
Yeah.
With being British, the first thing that comes to mind is sort of like Fable, and that style of humor that who was it, Lionhead did. So this is definitely one
because they're a British developer as well, so maybe that means hopefully that they we've got Game On Daily on now, so that's always good. Don't go and watch them, guys, promise. This is me messing up.
We just talked about StreamYard there as well beforehand.
Yeah, that's always a good thing, having another podcast inside your podcast. Sorry about that. Yeah, but like definitely interesting, and they're a British team, small 2-person team, but they are using additional artists who work on little extras of the game. But it's cool, like one of the guys is a musician, and he's doing the music as well as coding, so it's like definitely lots of wearing many hats to the guys that are making this game, and I just love that. There's amazing amount of talent and skill involved from them. And the guy said he's taken on animation for the first time, and in my opinion these animations are just they're expressive. The eyes are just like I really dig big time. But yeah, great shout there, Luke, my friend. That was your first pick, wasn't it? I had a feeling you might say that one, because I remember what you said in the stream at the time. You were like, I forget what you said, like game of the show or something straight away, I think.
Yeah, something to that effect.
That's brilliant. But yeah, Devolver is, again, it's not just, they can't just guarantee it's always going to be good, but they do know how to scope out these games who they're going to sort of help publish, I think. So, I think it's a good sign, and it also just looks damn good as well, and I really dig the aesthetic and the whole feel of it. But yeah, that's fantastic, my friend. Hopefully I haven't missed any more to download. I'm worrying now, but what is your next pick, Luke, my friend?
The other game that I thought looked fantastic was Nobody Saves the World. And that is a game by Drinkbox Studios, who made Guacamelee.
That is a great pick, definitely.
And Guacamelee too. And yeah, so that's you know, I was looking forward to their next game anyway, whatever it was going to be, because I really, really enjoyed both of the Guacamelee games, which are, you know, kind of essentially Metroidvania type experiences, but just so control and really funny. Actually, they're really quite. Talking of humor, they're quite funny games.
That's nice. Guacamelee again's fantastic, aren't they? I love Metroidvania, so I was kind of hoping for another Metroidvania from them, but it's all good. Yeah.
And so this one is more of a. It seems to be pitched as more of a dungeon crawler. Yeah. Kind of action-ish game, but the kind of twist, I suppose, is that you're able to transform into lots of different things, different creatures, and they all have unique abilities as you're going through the dungeons, which I presume are probably procedurally generated, etc. But
I think it said that,
so but it just, again, like Guacamelee, it looks super tight to control, really responsive, really fun, very unique in a lot of ways in the way it's doing its kind of main ability mechanic, i.e., transforming into various different things. So that was one of the only interviews, actually, I think, on the show that was actually pretty good when that was done. It just looks awesome. Very different to Death's Door. And actually very different, I think, to what I expected them to make in terms of art style. It's quite a departure from Guacamelee.
I don't know. I feel like it has their kind of like punchy sort of colours and stuff like that, and they're with the font. I know it sounds silly, but the font as well. You know what I mean? It's got the same font.
I know what you mean. I maybe in my head I was expecting them to make essentially another type of Guacamelee game, but obviously not Guacamelee. Right? Proper, just straight on 2D similar art style, but so I guess in that respect it looks different, but it still has that kind of signature.
I know what you mean.
Look, as I say, like the kind of big characters, punchy colours, that sort of stuff. So but it looks awesome, and again, it's another one I can't wait to play.
It's a very good pick, my friend. I mean, I think it's cool. Like, obviously Guacamelee 1 and 2, fantastic games, and Metroidvania games are my kind of pretty much my favourite type of games, because maybe two of my best games ever are Metroidvanias, but that makes it by default. And you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Which is Hollow Knight and Ori as well. But so we all enjoy our Metroidvanias around here, it seems, anyway. So that's great. But it's cool. Like I support everything about a developer. I don't want to be like, oh no, they're doing something different, I'm not going to play it. It's great to see them trying something fresh. They want to keep themselves fresh and do new stuff. And this kind of has kind of that idea of like, you've got lots of characters, so that's got quite a unique way of doing things in that regard, which I think is going to be very interesting. And I think it looks really cool. I'm definitely up for it. It's going into Game Pass day one as well, which is pretty damn awesome. That is a fantastic pick, my friend. Let's move on from there then. Doing great, guys. And let's move on to my man Randall Thor. I'm very intrigued to hear what your first pick would be from like a game which you really enjoyed seeing. What was one of your favorite announcements, my friend?
Well, this is tough because you guys have stolen 3 of my picks already. I was really looking forward to the Ascent.
Very nice.
I think that game looks super cool. Can't wait to play it in co-op. And then Death's Door was probably the highlight of the whole stream to me.
Nice.
But we've already talked about that. Like, I think that game looks super cool. It kind of fills that Hades void on Xbox until Hades eventually releases on Xbox later this year.
There's another game actually, just sorry to cut you off, just quickly, if you haven't checked out, if you wanted to fill the Hades void, there's also oh my god, I've blanked on it. Luke,
Curse of the
thank you. Yeah, you knew it anyway. You knew it. Of course, Randall Ford knows the answer. You know what I was saying, though. But there you go, my friend. Anyway,
but the Death's Door looks incredible. Like when I saw that, I was like, okay, now that. No wonder like Devolver Digital was teasing that game on Twitter a couple days beforehand, because that looks like it could be a fantastic game. And then Nobody Saves the World. I'm a big fan of Drinkbox, so that game looks super cool. So you stole 3 of my picks, but it's okay. You haven't stolen my number 1.
Nice.
So my number 1, which we mentioned before, at least some of you have mentioned about how the interview was the worst thing of the show, right?
Yeah.
But I have been looking forward to playing 12 minutes for ever since it was announced, because I am a sucker for sci-fi time loops. I know this game isn't sci-fi, but it's entirely a game built on the premise of you being in a time loop and trying to figure out how to break it. And it's got some really awesome voice acting. You got James McAvoy, you have Willem Dafoe, you got Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
I like the art style the game has going for it. So I cannot wait to play that game and delve into all the different shenanigans that you go through. How am I going to try this scenario? And I'm going to do this scenario, because I hear the game's pretty long, like a 10-hour experience.
Yeah.
So for me, that game, while I say Death's Door was the game of the show because it was the first time we've seen it,
it's a great announcement.
The game I'm most interested in playing by far is 12 minutes.
Very nice. Yeah. So, if you,
I'm still wondering. Pardon me for interrupting.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm still wondering. This is a single developer. How was he able to pull that voice cast off? This is.
Yeah. I think
that's impressive.
I'm going to say he's lured them with creativity.
I wonder if he had funding from Xbox. Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a deal cut, because I believe that game's exclusive, and usually those type of things come with potentially monetary benefits.
Could be. Annapurna's the publisher as well. They're quite a big publisher.
Oh yeah, they are the publisher. When you talk about Devolver putting out great games.
Yeah.
When Annapurna's involved, the games are also very quality.
Absolutely, yeah. They're definitely two of my favorites. I mean, these days I probably lean to more preference for Annapurna, because they are really on fire, and they focus on that sort of like artistic sort of story-based game, which I quite enjoy. But I do like my Devolver, and they're usually a bit more edgy sort of games, Devolver games. So, but yeah, no, that's a great pick. I mean, any inside info on this one, Rand? Because everyone's wondering about this gameplay loop, how it's going to play out, like play by play. You got any insight on that, brother?
No, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to play it. Look at it. Look at how cool that looks. Like, it's got the over the top down look. You have the different things going on. Like, how many different scenarios you could do in a 12-minute thing to try to like break the time loop or stop the hitman. Like, I don't know, an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop. I mean, come on, who is not excited for that, right?
100%. Yeah, it's definitely very appealing for me too. I love thrillers and stuff like that, so it definitely seems really cool. I wonder if I was going to say like Luis Antonio, I wonder if he's lured them in, maybe this is just me how I think, but he lured them in with the creativity appeal, you know what I mean? Look at this project, do you have because sometimes big actors, they might want to they want to scratch the itch of being, doing something independent, and you sometimes these like Hollywood actors, they'll do like an independent film just randomly. Like, I wonder if it's kind of that they get, this is a project for them that they can sort of really like exercise that kind of creative vibe, rather than just doing the usual kind of films that they do. Maybe like, she does Star Wars and stuff. She's quite a new actor, so maybe not. But I think I don't know. I like to think it could be something like that they are just getting to do something really different and appealing for their creative outlet, kind of being an actor. It is a voice actor, but being an actor. What do you reckon to that, guys?
Being a voice actor?
Yeah, kind of. You know what I mean? It's kind of like rather than just being like doing the usual Hollywood style films, this is kind of like an independent, kind of like Cannes Film Festival, whatever. You know what I mean? It's something a bit more where they get to scratch the itch of being like a true actor. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So I wonder whether there's like he's pitched it to them like that. You know what I mean? Like, I've got this project. Obviously, it's a bit of a tall order to ask you to come on board or whatever, but you're gonna get you're gonna get satisfaction out of the project kind of in that way. I don't know, that's my thinking behind it. Maybe it's just money. I like to think it's not.
I would imagine he wasn't able to pay that much money to get these guys.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that he's appealed to them in the creative sense rather than the money sense. That's what I think has a part of it. They wouldn't just do it just for the money, if you see what I mean. I don't know what you guys think about that, but regardless,
it's interesting because the announcement for the voice actor, I think it was about a year ago that for the voice actors came around, and I think maybe at that point, maybe he had just pitched them the game, he'd showed them the game, and they piqued their interest at that point, because I'd actually wondered at the time, like, they probably had recorded some voice acting prior to that. So had they recorded like VA beforehand, and then did they have to go back and re-record everything with these obviously Hollywood actors?
They did, yeah. They had trailers which without them, so yeah. I mean, and the two of them I haven't done voice acting before. Willem Dafoe's done voice acting, but the other two I don't think they've done. So, you know, it might be, like I say, that's why I feel like it might be something where they've, you know, wanted to try something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty amazing thing to have them on board, and I think Annapurna has a big thing to do with it as well, because they are very much that creative kind of studio, like to focus on some artistic style stuff, in my opinion. You know, they're kind of like the artisan or whatever. But yeah, that's it. Like 12 minutes, man. It looks so good. So many people hyped for it. It's actually surprised me how many people are really, really hyped for it. I guess the intrigue is maybe one of the driving factors. People are wondering what it's about. Maybe that's part of the appeal, because the play-by-play gameplay is not really something we've seen. It was first shown in 2015 at PAX, and I think like Game Over Greggy, the guy who does I forget the outlet they are now, but he's at Game Over Greggy on Twitter, you know, Greg Miller.
Kind of funny.
Thank you very much. That's the one. He looked at it at that time, and they had actually a little bit of gameplay, really, really raw gameplay back then, but obviously it's moved a long way since then. But yeah, 12 minutes looking fantastic. Very much keen to check it out. But yeah, Rand, did you have any more that you wanted to bring up? I know you said a couple of yours have been pipped already, but is there any others that you wanted to bring up maybe?
I like the look of Echo Generation.
Nice, yeah.
But that game was announced last year. As for a new game that was announced, Art of Rally looks pretty cool.
Hell yeah!
I thought so. I think that's made from the makers of Absolute Drift.
It is indeed, yeah. It is, yeah. I've played quite a bit of this one on the show. I did a review of this game actually. I've been playing it on PC. It's been out since last year on PC, and I can say it's awesome. So yeah, it looks really great, and it's definitely, you know, it is as awesome as it looks. But I'm glad you picked that one, my friend. Yeah, so you like your racers, don't you? But like, not
I do like my racers.
Yeah.
I like Forza Horizon. I even enjoyed Dirt 5. You know, it gives a little different feel to it, right? I'll definitely be playing that when it comes out for sure. And like, I mean, because like there was like 60 games here.
Yeah.
I would say, I know like my friends are super interested in playing Exo Mecha.
Very nice, yeah.
They want that for their like multiplayer fix, and I believe they announced the Battle Royale mode. And you know me, I do love my Battle Royale with PUBG,
yes,
and Warzone and stuff. So my friends are looking forward to Exo Mecha when it comes out in August.
Nice.
To try to get a next competitive multiplayer game in Battle Royale from it.
Yeah. So a lot of people wondering about whether you're actually going to be on board a mech in that game. Do you have any insight on that?
No idea. I mean, I've seen there's like dinosaurs and stuff. Kind of. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the few games that actually got a release date. You know, coming in 4 months. I think the other game that got a release date was Second Extinction, which actually comes out really soon.
Yeah, that's in early access on Steam at the moment. Is that coming to preview on the Xbox, I think?
Yes, it's coming to Game Pass day one, and it's a game preview title. Yeah. Yeah,
nice. So that's cool. It's really good though, that game. I'm definitely intrigued by that. There's quite a few shooters, isn't there, on the indie horizon sort of thing, which is pretty cool. But yeah, like Art of Rally, such a great game. The mechanics to it might surprise you how sort of how nicely it feels, if you know what I mean. The physics of the cornering and stuff like that. It's a little bit more sim than some people expect. It's not micro machines, as I always say, which is fantastic. This is the greatness about it. You know, it actually feels awesome to slide around the corners and stuff. I think you'll really enjoy Art of Rally, and I was so pleased, even though I've already played the game obviously and everything. I was so pleased for everyone, because so many people have asked me about is it on console, and it was no for so long. Unfortunately not, guys, it's not on console when I was streaming it and stuff. But yeah, no, it's so great to see it come into console now, and it also is a sign that the game's done well and everything like that. So really pleased, because Fun Selector, the developer, is a cool dude. And yeah, definitely done an amazing job of Art of Rally. So yeah, great pick there, my friend. But yeah, Exomecha as well. That's it. Definitely has me intrigued. When is the release date on Exomechas? Did you say?
Sometime in August.
August, is it? Right, cool. Excellent stuff. Cool. Okay, man. Well, that's fantastic, my friend. Awesome takes there. Let's move on to my good man Scott and see what he has for us. What will be your first pick, brother?
Yeah, it's difficult, Lindy, because as
Oh, I think you keep cutting out a little bit.
Oh,
sorry,
my apologies, indeed.
No problem at all, my friend.
Let me just try adjusting this. Is that better?
You're not cut out since you've adjusted it.
Lovely.
So.
Okay, hopefully that's better. Sorry about that, mate.
No problem, my friend.
I've got the same problem that Rand has, really, is a lot of the games that are on my list have already been mentioned.
No
so
probs.
I did make a list of about 10 to 15 because I suspected that might happen.
He's clever.
A lot of the games that the guys have mentioned look fantastic. So there is one there that was kind of my pick of the show, almost up with Death Star. I might see if that one comes up. I'll leave that for a little later. I think. Well, if I get 2 picks, I'll pick that one next. But the first one I wanted to mention is someone who's on a bit of a Slay the Spire kick at the moment is Griflands. Which was actually shown as part of the first sizzle reel. I think it was very. Was it part of the sizzle reel? I can't remember now, but it was shown off fairly early in the show.
And it's I don't even think I remember that. What was the name? Sorry again.
Griflands. So it was like a card-based, turn-based RPG, and essentially the I guess the hook of that game is similar to Slay the Spire. You play the cards in combat, but you have 2 different decks. You have a combat deck and you have a negotiation deck. So the trailer that I watched, I think it might be after when I was trying to find a little bit more information out, is you might go into a scenario and you get into a fight and then you get beaten up. And then you try it again, you get beaten up again. But then what you can do is you can switch to your negotiation deck. And then you can maybe go and speak to other people in the bar. I think the scenario was that they showed, and recruit them to join your party, and then go back into the fight using your combat deck with a bigger party, and essentially beat the people or beat the enemies that way. So I thought that looked really cool. And like I said, as someone who's been playing a lot of Slay the Spire recently, that really intrigued us. It actually started out as an RPG back in 2015 or something, and then in 2019 they sort of switched to this card-based game. Yeah, so you've got it up here, actually, haven't you?
Yes,
so,
I have indeed, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just looks really cool. I think I like the style. I like that card-based combat, and I think that negotiation side of things and having a negotiation deck is just something that's relatively unique to this type of game. So I think if you played and like Slay the Spire, you'll like this.
Yeah, nice. I was going to say, Slay the Spire, you've very much been enjoying that, I know you said. And is that something you've recently gotten into, these card deck builder games and turn-based style, or is it always something you've enjoyed?
It's always something I've enjoyed. I mean, Slay the Spire is something that I picked up fairly late. It's just sort of in the past couple of weeks. I mean, but if you go back, the card games are something I've always liked, going back to like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and things like that,
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But
Rand's favourite, Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's also something that I've liked, but yes, I guess card-based games are something that I don't play an awful lot of, like digital card-based games. I played a little bit of Hearthstone and things like that. I know they're slightly different, but yeah, this looks pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to playing it. It's actually already out on the Epic Games Store in like pre-release at the moment. So
very nice.
If anyone has played it, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Looks really cool.
Yeah, excellent, my friend. No, that's great stuff. I have to say, they're not usually my type of game. Maybe I should check out Slay the Spire. I'm hearing so many good things. I don't usually get into the deck builder games. Have you ever checked out the one from that's in The Witcher? What's that one called? Do you know the one I mean?
It's like Gwent.
That's the one. Yeah. Have you checked that one out?
I'm really not. This might, people might think badly of me when I say this, but The Witcher just isn't my.
Sure.
So I've never jumped into. I know it was its own thing, but it was never something that I really played. So.
Yep. No, that's totally fair. I was just curious. Excellent stuff. Okay, my friend. So, Ham, what would be your next pick that we had that you'd like to talk about, highlight, my friend?
Okay, so I think Death's Door was definitely the highlight of the show for me as well. But I think something that really ran a clock was Loot River, and I think that was
Very
something
nice.
when we were watching it that we all sort of really liked the look of. So it's kind of like a top-down hack and slash combat game. It's difficult really to see just how intricate the combat is, but the hook with this is, as well as having the combat, you've almost got these environmental puzzles that you can manipulate throughout and sort of use in combination with each other. So I definitely say Loot River was up there with Death's Door. Ran in very, very close second, I think. But the art style was fantastic. The combat looked great, and just when we first saw the environmental manipulation in there as well, it just added a different element to the game. So
that one was definitely one of my favorites. 100%. Loot River looks so good, and I like I've said a few times already, that this game kind of reminds me of what a Devolver game. This really looks like a Devolver game to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's got that sort of like they do a lot of top down sort of edgy action games, but this one looks so cool. I really like the idea of this sort of it's on screen now in case you're wondering. This is Loot River, guys. But yeah, I like the sort of puzzling thing going on, like Tetris puzzling.
It's kind of like a basic version of Tetris combined with like sort of combat mechanics. So it was really cool. I think this bit that you're showing online at the moment just shows maybe some ways that you can combine the two, where he's attacking and then using the environment to evade and then going back in to attack. I think that could give us some really sort of interesting sort of combat scenarios as well.
Definitely. It gives it that kind of like real again, like this overarching reasons. Like, I mean, I feel like this is a real like reason why, again, this is showing off why indie games are so great, in my opinion, because it's got like, they usually will focus in on sort of like mechanics and then just like really like highlight them and like take them to the limits, if you see what I mean. I feel like that's what it's doing. It's got like a unique mechanic to it with the puzzling thing, and also obviously the combat looks great and the pixel art is beautiful, but I feel like that's what it's doing. It's kind of like highlighting it in that way. But yeah, Loot River looks really cool to me, definitely. Is it a roguelike, did you know? Or
I did actually try to find that out ahead of the show. I tried to be perfectly honest, but I think I don't think it is. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am, but I don't think it is. But the clip at the very end of the trailer was a little funny at the time, where he's sort of using the environment as a weapon itself, or smashing the environment against the enemies as well. So
definitely, my friend. Yeah, it looks really, really cool in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. Very much excited for that one. Let me know in the chat, guys, which games you're excited for. Really love to know. Mike says he's very much excited. He's day one for Art of Rally, so pleased to hear that, brother. It's such a great game. And Smokeback Official says we'll give a try with Time Love third-person shooter. Oh, sorry. We'll give a try with Time Love third-person shooters, I think. Dazinator, Art of Rally, he's a lover of that game too. Good stuff, guys. It's awesome to hear your takes in the chat. Thank you very much. We love hearing that. So maybe we'll do a little loop round again, guys, and like if there was any that you didn't get mentioned that you wanted to shout out from the Idea Xbox event. Excuse me. Maybe we'll loop back round to my by the way, Scott, you were cutting out still a little bit at the end there. I'm not too sure. It's just kind of you're talking and then it'll just blank completely and then come back in. I'm not too sure why.
I will try to figure that out if you've got someone next.
It's not a problem.
My apologies.
No, it's not. Don't worry, it's not your fault. I just wanted to let you know so you're aware. It's only happening a little bit anyway. But yeah, Archimedes, my friend, is there any other games you'd like to shout out that you caught your attention, brother?
I mean, there was one game I was really surprised that was actually in there and titled an indie game, and that is Stalker 2. I wouldn't consider Stalker 2 an indie game, but it was in there anyway. And even though we didn't see gameplay, it looked really cool. I can't wait to play that game. I mean, Stalker 1 or the first 3 games were actually one of my favorites on the PC back in the days. I loved them. I loved the Metro series, and so I'm really excited for that one. But I don't know whether I would consider it an indie game.
Who's making that game then?
GSC Game World,
GSC Game World, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know a ton about them, about the Stalker. Really, if I'm honest, it's probably one of the only ones I haven't really sort of looked into. Are they self-publishing it or?
I'm not sure whether they announced if they self-publish it. I don't know whether they announced that yet. Stalker was relatively big on PC about 15 years ago or something like that.
I remember
and
seeing
it was
you
really
said that in the
popular,
video.
and then the studio split up, and one part of the part that split away made the Metro series. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, I can definitely see that actually, the resemblance. Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, the real question is though, Archimedes, my friend, did you enjoy the teeth? Did you think that got a little bit weird?
That's kind of weird. A weird thing to show off. But...
Definitely. I think so many people were hoping for gameplay, weren't they? But that detail was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Stalker was back in the day on PC, that graphical highlight. You know, there were a couple of games where people always try to measure their PC and the capability of their PC. You're probably familiar with the saying, can it run Crysis? Yeah, and then Stalker was kind of in the same vein. Yeah, can it actually run Stalker? That was very demanding but very good looking game. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a looker.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, they've got a nice atmosphere. They're setting the scene nicely with that. That's for sure. Yeah, 15 years ago. That's quite a while. I'm gonna have to look into the.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I didn't fact check that. It feels like 15 years. Could also be 20. I don't know.
15 years in a bunker. They've been working on it.
It's been a long time, at least. Yeah.
Definitely, buddy.
Well, and then there was one other game. It probably wasn't the biggest game of the show, but it was Night Squad 2. The first one is a game I played a lot. With a friend of mine when he moved to China, because it was the only game that we could make work to run through Skype back in the days, and so I can't wait to play that. It looks really cool. The second one now.
Nice.
It's a you could say it's kind of a party game.
Yeah, it's 8 player, isn't it? Is that the one?
Yeah. So. I could see that being a game kind of that you play kind of like Among Us or something like that, yeah. And it was also part of the demo week that we got last year.
Yes. I remember when you came on last time, we talked about the demo week, didn't we? And I think I remember you saying you played it.
Yeah, and that game looked cool. They showed off a couple of new game modes. It looked really fun. So yeah. That's definitely something I wanted to mention.
Very nice, buddy. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's good stuff. Any of you guys? Actually, let's go around one more time, and I'll come back to a few. I'll fill in the holes. That's a terrible expression. I'll let you cover everything you want to cover, and then if there's any gaps, I'll fill them in. And there you go, guys. That's one for Dazzy, baby. Yeah, so thanks very much, Archimedes Pro. That's fantastic. Let's move on to Luke. Is there any others you wanted to bring up, my friend, that we haven't covered it so far?
One other that did look really, really nice was Astria Ascending, which is a kind of hand-drawn 2D JRPG.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah.
And that has, I think that, I mean, it looks incredible anyway, just because of, when you see it, it's extremely vivid and just very cool looking. But it's also very ambitious because it is trying to essentially be a full-on JRPG, but within a fully 2D setting, which is quite a difficult thing to try and do, I'd imagine. But so far, it looks like it's really cool. It has, I know the composer is Hitoshi Sakamoto, who did Final Fantasy 12 and Vagrant Storm.
Oh, that's nice.
So, it's got a really great background, and I think one of the writers, if not the main writer, is Najima, who was a writer on Final Fantasy 10 and 7 Remake, I think. So it has this like really
pedigree.
Cool, pedigree behind it. Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So these games can sometimes be a little touch and go because you can have big names behind them, but because of the scale, obviously this is still an independent game. It's the involvement of those type of people sometimes isn't as profound as you might think when you actually come to the game itself. But with this one, I have quite a good feeling about. It just looks really vivid, really incrediable. I love JRPGs. I love Final Fantasy. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it, and it just kind of leaps at you the minute you see it. So yeah,
that art style is very magical, isn't it? It definitely looks great. I think that's one for people who love JRPGs are really going to love that. If it goes along with that on the Chris Tales as well, that game as well looks fantastic. Very nice, my friend. Yeah. Did you see if that was coming to Game Pass by any chance? Sorry for the question. Put you on the spot.
I don't think it is.
I
don't think it is. Yeah, actually,
yeah.
Because No,
nice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very good stuff, my friend. Any others that you wanted to mention before we move off to Rand or?
Just Death's Door again, man.
Oh, sorry, Death's Door. You come back around for it. Yep. Love it, my
just
friend.
Again. No need to mention anything else.
Yeah, to be honest, it looks so damn good. And it's not even that far away, is it, Death's Door? It's actually, that sounds really depressing. I meant that the game, by the way, guys. Maybe it's this podcast. Yeah, no, Death's Door looks so damn good. And check out the Windows Central interview as well with Miles. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. With the developers of Death's Door. Really good stuff. And yeah, that's fantastic. Luke, thank you very much. Rand, my friend, is there any others you wanted to bring up before we move off of the idea Xbox? I may bring up a few of my own at the end just to cover them, but is there any others that you wanted to mention that haven't been mentioned, brother?
Sure. And this game is strictly just because of the pedigree of the studio in their last game, which I adored.
Nice.
And that's The Last Stop from the people who did Virginia.
Nice. I thought you were going to say it for some reason. Yeah. I
love Virginia so much, and I think it still might have like one of the best soundtracks of any game this past generation. So when they announced that their next game was The Last Stop, I was immediately interested. So if you were to say like, hey, what's another game you're interested in? It'd be that one, simply because of what they achieved with Virginia. But I'm also I'll say one more. You guys already kind of mentioned it, but that's Song of Iron.
Oh yeah.
Nice. I haven't played it. I just seen it from the trailers. It looks really cool. But those are two games outside of the other like 5 or we mentioned or whatever that I'm looking forward to out of the 60 here. And like some of these might be cool. I wouldn't know until I get my hands on them. Like something like let's see, something like Exo 1.
Exo 1, yeah.
That like the game where you're like
frisbee,
like flying a disc around.
That's what Scott called it.
On the surface, that sounds weird. It's like, really? Like, but like when you like watch it, it's like, oh, that could be kind of interesting.
Yes.
So I guess it really depends.
It all depends on that feeling that it gives you, I guess. I think it's very much based around that. If it's going to give you that sort of like a relaxing feeling, I think that might be what they're going for, which could be really cool. Definitely. But yeah, really pleased you brought up The Last Stop, actually, because that's actually a game I'm really, really looking forward to. Although at this showing, I was a little bit like, oh no. It was a little bit underwhelming. Yeah.
But I'll play it simply because of Virginia. Now, if Annapurna's, they are publishing it. We mentioned Annapurna usually publishes great games.
Exactly.
And maybe they picked a couple bad scenes, because I agree with you. Those scenes didn't fill me with the biggest confidence in the world.
Sure, yeah.
But just because of Virginia, man. I love Virginia.
Yeah, and Virginia was voiceless, wasn't it? It was all done in
it was voiceless. It was completely done with music and image, like the
yeah, cool stuff.
What's what I'm looking for here? But yeah, it was like everything was just done
environmental storytelling,
music and environmental storytelling.
Yeah,
and we'll see. I mean, maybe those scenes were this game isn't looking so hot, but I mean, hopefully it comes out soon. And I think it's in Game Pass day one. I'm not 100% sure.
Don't think it's been confirmed. It might well be though. Yeah, but yeah, it's like I think it's like you say. I was saying like as well on the stream. I feel like they've not chosen the best way to showcase this. Like they're like in game or something, and it's just sort of they're taking the time over the choices, like Scott alluded to when we were watching it as well. Yeah. They were just sort of pausing, and it kind of didn't have the flow of a conversation like it would, you know. Like when you look at the trailer though, it looks so damn cool. I love the London setting, regional accents and stuff like that. It feels very British as well, which is cool. But I love the fact that it's like the narrative based on 3 different narratives that come together and interconnect, which sounds really, really cool. I'm definitely still excited for The Last Stop. I'm not going to let that showing put me off either as well, my friends. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing it because, yeah, like Annapurna again, once, like you said, Annapurna rock. But yeah, also Variable State, they rock as well, like with Virginia. So really excited for that game big time. That is a great pick, my friend. Once again, thanks very much, Rand. Fantastic. And Scott, my friend, is there anything else you would like to bring up on the Idea Xbox, brother?
I think there's maybe only one more thing that I'd mention, which is Moonglow.
Sorry, you cut out. Was that
apologies?
That's right. I think you might have said Moonglow. But like, was that Moonglow?
Yeah,
yeah, cool.
That's the one. So we spoke about it at the time, and it was one of those things where they just said a fishing RPG, and I was instantly hooked. Yeah, it's no pun intended.
I love the way you say. I love the way you Northerners say hooked, like hooked. Yeah, it's just great.
It's my Geordie accent.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's kind of got a little bit of the tourist vibes in terms of its art style, but essentially there seems to be quite a big narrative behind what is essentially just a fishing game, but essentially going out on a boat, you're fishing, you're capturing these different types of fish, and then you bring them back and you cook them and you could sell them. I just thought it looked outrageously relaxing, to be perfectly honest. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out. I think it's coming to Game Pass as well, so it's going to be one that'll be good, maybe just to sink some time in. I think it's one of those ones that'll have a particularly niche audience, but it's one that I'm certainly interested in. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people may have been turned off by the interview. The interview, I think, was one of those ones that just certainly went on too long, because I think it was a fairly lengthy sort of gameplay demonstration that they showed before the interview as well. So I think people at the end of it might have been a little sick of it by then.
I remember that was when the alarm bells started to ring for us, wasn't it? When of the show format, I think. But
because that was the first. That was the first sort of the long interview that they showed, and we were like, oh, I hope there's not too many of these. Turned out to be another 4 or 5 of them. So that's probably the main one that also interested me, I think. So
that's really great. In actual fact, when I was watching it with you, I wasn't fully sort of like, I wasn't really like getting into it at that point, but I've watched back the trailer a few times, and since then I'm actually this is kind of cool, and I like the narration of it as well. I know we're not hearing that right now, hopefully we're not anyway, because I usually mess that up and leave it on. But the narration seems quite nice, sort of like relaxing sort of voice to it, kind of like that you just, I don't know, just like you say, it's all about that relaxation. The fishing village, there's the fish to catch, and you can there's opportunity. It's just it's nice. Sometimes that's what you need, isn't it?
Just
sometimes
relaxing. It's just one of those games that I think you just go in, do a little bit of fishing, and then come out and play something else. I think it's something we would just play for half an hour at a time, and then come back. So
exactly, that's a great shout, my friend. Great stuff, guys. I'm going to try and do a couple of quick ones quickly, and then we're going to move to the Future Game Show, which won't be as long, I promise, and we'll dive into a few of that one. But I'm just going to do a couple which I think would be worth mentioning, if that's all right. Which are okay. Let's pull that up, and there's one game which I really was pleased to see. I had already seen it on Steam, and that was Omno. Don't know if you guys remember this one from the showing, but quite early on, I believe. And this game, like I say, I've seen there's a prologue on Steam already previously before this event, but I'm really pleased to see it's coming to Xbox as well now, and this one will be in Game Pass Day 1 too. This game looks super cool. I think it's got like Journey vibes, and again, a nice relaxing feel. The developer is an ex-animator. He's worked in films and in games as an animator, and now he's moved into being a solo dev in this game, which is fantastic, and I really enjoy the gameplay, the low poly art style, the difference in the sort of environments is really cool. I just love everything about it, to be honest with you guys. I really am into Omno, and I'm definitely going to be playing this game because you got that gliding thing going on like in Journey and stuff, which is cool. And it seems like with the staff, it's got multiple applications where you can slide on it and use it to sort of fly through the air, I guess you would say. But yeah, definitely looks cool. I'm interested, just quickly, maybe if we'll just quickly have a quick chat about Omno. Any of you guys, you don't have to go to everyone, but anyone excited for Omno here at all? Anyone grabbed by Omno?
Unfortunately, not by the sound of things.
Not really, no.
Apologies.
That's no problem.
I thought it looked cool. Yeah, I thought it looked really cool. I've seen it before.
Yeah, me too.
It's quite a unique. The character design is really unique. And so that's the first thing that I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And was there a demo or something like that was released for it?
There was a prologue on Steam, I believe. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it does look really nice. I don't sadly know as much about it as maybe I should, but I did like. It's one of those that it catches your attention quite quickly. I think, particularly with how the traversal works and that.
Agreed.
And how, all that sort of stuff. So I do like the look of it, and it was one of the ones that stood out to me at the showcase anyway.
Nice, my friend. Yeah, definitely. But that's fantastic. Yeah, I think Omno is going to be a really, really great game. I reckon it'll be a kind of concise, short experience. Maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing that it might be a bit longer. Yeah. But I have a feeling it'll be that kind of approach to the game. Maybe let's just see. There's one more I'm going to mention. I think everyone's covered them so well. My top ones have probably been Loot River and as you say, Death Store. I won't recover that. But there's maybe if there's any others we missed. I'm just looking down my list here, guys. Let's see. I think you've pretty much taken all of mine, which is good. One other. Where are we? Yeah, one other I'll quickly mention is Recompile, because that might not have got much attention. And this looks really, really cool, this game. This was at EGX when I went there in 2019. I think Recompile is going to be an awesome game. It's a Metroidvania. It's kind of like in a glitch kind of world where it's, everything's kind of sort of like inside the Matrix or something. Definitely really digging the vibes of this game. The visuals and the gameplay look really cool. Definitely looking forward to it. I do believe it got confirmed for Game Pass 2. I should have double checked on this one, but yeah, it's coming to Xbox, which is fantastic. And I really enjoy the visual style. The fact it's a Metroidvania makes me very much interested, and it does have branching narratives as well, apparently, which is very cool, and combat too. So yeah, I'm very much up for some Recompile action. So yeah, we've taken quite a bit on this topic, so we should move on quickly to the Future Games show. Let us know in the chat, guys, any of your favourite games that you saw from these, or the whole show, as the whole ID Xbox show, excuse me. Definitely interested to hear what you had to say, because we love hearing your thoughts, and there were some cool games shown. So, but yeah, let's move on to the Future Games show. We won't spend as long, obviously, on this one. And as I imagine you guys may have a shorter list for this one perhaps, let's move on to Future Games Show. Maybe to highlight a couple of your favourite games that you saw at the Future Games Show, and we're going to fire this one to my main man Archimedes. Firstly, what would be your first pick, sir?
I'm going with one that still surprises me, and that is the Gollum game. I don't know why or how an indie developer can pick up such a big IP that is still something that surprises me. And I mean, you can never go wrong with The Lord of the Rings, so that game looks really cool. Also, I like the art style that they are going for. It's not that photorealistic type of game. It reminds me a lot of Styx, or I don't know how you pronounce it in English, correct?
Yeah. So you're a fan of the franchise as a whole?
Nice. That's really
the
cool.
appeal for you, yeah. Very nice. Yeah, because that's the thing. I think for me it was like I'm not even sure whether Sorry, I brought up the wrong thing here. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, because I think it's one of the things. If people are interested in like that universe, then I think they're going to be in for sure. I think it's people like myself, maybe who aren't so invested in that. Maybe they won't be with the Gollum game. But I did actually start to get to like the look of the sort of gameplay towards the end, and it's interesting idea to sort of make that into a game. It'll be interesting to see how they did the mechanics of the actual gameplay and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. Again, still surprised that they could pick up such a big IP, but I like what I've seen, and I'm looking forward to that game. Well, and then there was another game. We touched on it earlier, and that is Kenna, Bridge of Spirit. I mean, that game looked absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn, just as a Pixar movie.
Amazing looking game.
Absolutely beautiful, and if you get any chance to watch interviews with the developers, they are so genuinely nice people. You just want to support them.
That's true.
It's really a good game. Looking good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely is amazing. It's such a small team, and the way they're able to make such amazing visuals. They were an animation studio before, weren't they? They moved into gaming, I do believe, but you can really see they're just absolute masters of that side of things, which it looks amazing.
Absolutely. That was definitely a game that stood out to me, and then. I could mention, of course, some of the bigger games like Returnal or something like that.
That'll be a block. I'm only kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding.
Obviously. Quantum Error is one game I want to mention.
Nice.
That looks really cool. That horror type of game has this sense of loneliness in space on Jupiter to it. I'm digging that vibe. It looks cool. Can't wait to learn more about it.
Yeah, got sort of those Dead Space vibes, which is always a good thing, isn't it? I think obviously it's not a third-person game, but it's do you get that kind of vibe to it? It's kind of slow-paced combat with on a space station kind of vibe.
I don't know whether it will be really an action type of game. Yeah, I mean it definitely has those combat systems in there, but I think it's more like that, like a game like kind of Deliver Us the Moon with a little bit more action.
Yep.
So that's the vibe I was getting, with a little bit more horror vibe, of course, to it. So yeah.
Definitely. That's it looks really good. I'm really hoping it comes through. I mean, it's showing nicely at the moment, but I'll just hope it could be really good, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Just hope it delivers on that.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, that's a great pick, my friend. Yeah, they've been showing quite a bit of gameplay, so they must be quite confident with it. Looking good to me. And as I say, Dead Space is always a good thing. I know, Rand, you're a big fan of Dead Space as well, aren't you, my friend? Did you dig a bit of Quantum Error, buddy? That's a no.
If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything.
That's fair enough. I set that up for failure.
I love me some Dead Space.
Yeah.
Sure, but I think the Dead Space successor is that Calypso project.
Okay. Need to look into that.
Last year. Quantum Error. I don't share Archimedes' opinion on that one.
Not a problem. I'm sure he won't be upset. It's all about everyone having different opinions. That's all good. Cool. I'm optimistic about it. Let's say. But yeah. Any others you wanted to bring up? Sorry, Archimedes, my friend.
I think. Let me see. Where do I have my list? Back 4 Blood, of course. Going to be a fun game. But it wasn't really new. Oddworld, Soulstorm also looks really good.
Yep.
And Elite Dangerous, of course. Yeah, how could I forget that?
Nice, For some reason, I didn't know about that game before I saw that, and I thought it was a new game because it was expansion, isn't it? I hadn't even seen Elite Dangerous. Don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, they have announced the second one, but they said it is years out. So that was a DLC that is shown. Yeah, and
Very nice. Excellent stuff, my friend. Good, great takes again. Lovely section of games there, very much so. Let's move this one over to my man Luke and see what he's got. Anything grabbed you? Because I know we watched this together, didn't we? So was there anything that stuck with you after, my friend?
So the one that I mean, there were a load of games that looked nice. I think, as Scott probably alluded to earlier, there were quite a lot of games that we've seen a lot of. But one of those was, and I know it's not an indie game, but Returnal just looks incredible.
I'll even bring it up for you, just because I feel violated right now, though. No, to be honest, it's published by Sony, isn't it? Like, that's why I'm. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm only kidding. It looks really good, like I said on the stream. It does look really good.
So that's literally kind of one of. If someone were to reach into my mind and pick like a dream game with a dream setting, that's pretty much as close as you could get to.
Nice.
So having a roguelike in this sort of weird Geiger-inspired sci-fi realm with a kind of mysterious story, I'm all for that every day. Especially with Housemarque, who make fantastic feeling games,
that's important,
and I'm glad that they've got a chance to make something that's effectively a AAA game or close to it. So that's going to be awesome. I won't spend too much time on that because everybody knows how good it potentially looks.
Sure, yeah.
So that was cool. Kino always looks incredible. And again, I won't go into much detail about that. Soulstorm really surprised me because I was fully in the realm that Scott was in, where I've seen that game so many times, I'm kind of sick of it. But the one thing they did different at the Future Game Show with it was they just showed an extended gameplay demo and explained a bit about the kind of gameplay scenarios that you'll bump into and what those look like. And Lorne Lanning was talking about it in those kind of broad terms. And it really brought me back on side with the game because for once it wasn't just like another cinematic trailer about the story and that sort of stuff. And it was nice to just have a developer talk over it. And it wasn't particularly long or anything like that, but it was just a really nice bit.
That didn't tire, did it? That part, like, even though it was a fair decent amount. It's not really long, but it was a decent amount of time. Let's actually have a look at how long it was. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Beer's in the way. 5 minutes 24 that segment was, so what I mean.
So
and
that's
it still didn't.
Perfect
That's a good amount of time to cover gameplay and talk over it. But I thought it looked good because they really showed it actually in action. Obviously, it's coming out in a couple of days, so you would hope so too. But
to actually see a bit more of how it plays. So so that was really good. Really, and like I said, it was one of those where I kind of went into it thinking, oh no, here we go, there's more Oddworld, I'm kind of sick of this, but I came out thinking, oh, I can't wait to play that now. Actually, I've kind of got to that point, so that's cool. And then the big one, which I think is one we both share a great love for since seeing it, is Sifu. Just looks incredible. And again, it's like one of those settings and styles of games that if you were to reach into my mind and try and make one out of, that would be right at the top. So
love it.
That just looks super cool. Really original in many respects in terms of the combination of the setting and the type of game that's going to be, and obviously this aging mechanic that they've got going on.
That really intrigues me. Because they're not talking much on that at the moment, but carry on.
And for good reason, I think, because I think they'd like to leave some of that in some mystery as you come to it. So it just looks really cool. Really different, and coming this year, I think, or announced for this year.
It said 2021. That's right.
So hopefully, that's not delayed. It looks pretty advanced.
It does,
shown so far.
The animations are amazing, aren't they? Like,
it's really fluid. It reminds me. I don't know if they are using this technique, but they certainly look close to some of the motion matching stuff that games like recently, stuff like The Last of Us Part 2 did, where you have this really smooth animation flow into another animation.
Right, sure.
And yeah, it looks super cool. And obviously, this is, it may not be using that, but if it's not, I think that's even more impressive that it can look like.
Yeah, that is.
Like that. So, it just looks awesome. Art style, gameplay, the premise, everything looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's the whole story is based around revenge. Obviously, that's pretty much every martial arts film, but but it's cool. Like you're going to have to target 5 assassins who took out your whole family, and you're training to sort of hunt them down basically, and you've dedicated your life to it. So yeah, again, that's quite typical. But I like the fact that it's typical because it follows like Chinese mythology with these 5 bosses who are inspired by like kung fu values with the different elements like wood, fire, earth, water, all that stuff. I just think I like the fact that they're paying attention to the actual kind of like mythology side of things as well. I think it's going to be a quite a cool experience in that way. The gameplay looks fantastic. I'm definitely intrigued about the aging thing. When you die, you age, and I still think that could potentially mean roguelike situation, which doesn't put me off one bit at all. But that's intriguing to me. Does anyone else looking forward to, if you don't mind, Luke, anyone else looking forward to Sifu or like what they see with Sifu? Nope.
Yeah, I think Sifu looks pretty cool.
Nice.
Probably the best game like that was shown at Future Game Showcase for me. I mean, I know it was already shown at like Sony's State of Play earlier.
Yes, it was.
Sifu looks pretty cool from the Absolver devs. So, but like, I'm interested in seeing like how all the attacks work in those corridors and actually seeing what the gameplay is instead of like a trailer like this.
Yeah, that is a big factor, I guess, how it, what you're actually doing. If it's all automated, then obviously that's not going to be that thrilling, but hopefully it isn't. Hopefully you've got good control over it and it feels satisfying. So, but that's a good point though, definitely. Cool. Sorry, I've cut you off, Luke. Was there anything else you wanted to say, my friend, or is that all good for you?
No, it's all good for me.
Lovely, my friend. Fantastic. Moving on to yourself, Rand. Obviously, you've just mentioned Sifu was one of your favourites. Was there any others, or did you want to add anything about Sifu before you do?
I mean, I'll be playing Sifu day one.
Nice.
As for like the other games, Kenya looks amazing. The only potential issue I see with that game is not exactly sold on the combat as of yet.
Sure.
But the graphics and how everything the game looks like a Pixar movie. So I can't wait to play that in August.
Yeah, not too long now. Pretty cool.
Life is Strange: True Colors.
Nice.
Was cool. That was shown off with the Square Enix thing, but that is a game I'm definitely interested in.
That's cool.
Returnal.
I was just going to say, they got motion capture now on the old...
motion capture. It actually looks like a... everything looks a lot better. Returnal
really
looks
does.
cool.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play that at the end of the month.
Nice.
There was like a space game, I think, that was Haunted Space, I believe it's called. I thought that game, just like the aesthetics of the game and the ship designs and stuff.
Yep.
That really kind of grabbed my attention.
Nice.
For sure. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it for me. Back for Blood, with the Left 4 Dead aesthetic with the zombies is, I'm sure that'd be fun to play with co-op. But I think that's it for me from Future Showcase of the games that stood out to me.
Nice. No, that's fantastic, my friend. Out of interest, have you played Axiom Verge, the first one?
I have not played Axiom Verge.
See, I haven't either. I feel like a fraud for not, but thank you that you haven't. That means I'm okay. Well, like I said, I'm a big Metroidvania fan. Axiom Verge is a highly regarded Metroidvania. I don't know what puts me off about it. I know Puxley shares this opinion, but something I just can't... It just puts me off every time I go to buy it, essentially. I need to play Axiom Verge, though. I think I would enjoy it. I feel like it'll be a well-designed game. Maybe it's the visual style, if I'm shallow as that. Probably I am. But yeah, Axiom Verge 2 is coming, basically. That's what I'm getting at, which is pretty damn cool. But yeah, I think I might check out Axiom Verge 1 at some point soon. But yeah, so... yeah, let's move on from there. Thank you very much, Rand. That was fantastic as always. Scott, my friend, was there any you wanted to highlight that you enjoyed the most from the Future Games show, brother?
Yes, outside of the ones that the guys have mentioned, I'm gonna test your list of
trailers.
Here,
this is gonna go wrong.
Let's see. So there was one that stood out to me, Operation Tango. Do you happen to have that
fail.
one? I'm going to
fail.
To be fair, I wouldn't worry too much. I think it was part of like a sort of a kind of like a sizzle reel. I think there was only sort of maybe 20 to 30 seconds of it shown. But if you remember, it's kind of like a co-op spy game. Where I think the trailer that they showed at the event was they had kind of two people on camera and they're kind of talking to each other. And essentially, it's a co-op game. It's got to be played with two people. They're kind of doing that It Takes Two thing where one person buys it and you can, a friend can play without having to buy it. And essentially, you're two spies and one person's trying to help guide the other spy. There was a VR game, I think, similar to this.
I saw it a while back, actually, this game. It's, they showed it a while back. I can't remember where it was. But yeah, I know the game you mean. I just haven't got it, I'm afraid. But yeah, so you like your co-op and you're interested in this one?
Yeah, I just think it looks, something that would be really cool to play with friends. A lot of my gaming time multiplayer, playing multiplayer games and co-op games. So and just sort of that spy game type theme is quite interesting. That VR game that they're something that really interested us, but obviously the barrier to entry for VR games is pretty damn high, so I never had a chance to try that, unfortunately. So this one looks pretty cool. Like I say, it's Operation Tango. I think it's out fairly soon. I think it's in maybe June it's coming out.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. And then the other one that maybe the other guys haven't mentioned is Humankind, which is kind of like the Civilization 4X game. That I think's being published by Sega, if I remember rightly. I think that looks quite cool if you're into that style of game. Civ games are something that I haven't played in a little while, but something I used to play a lot when I was a little younger, when I had a little bit more time. But that seems like that style of game.
Nice.
They talk about how you've got like
Humankind. The strategy game, was it?
Cool. If you played any of the old Civilization...
sorry, I tuned out then. Sorry, not because of your talking, it's because of my focusing on videos and stuff. Yeah, so it's a Civilization style game.
Yeah, I was going to say old, but obviously Civ 6 is still fairly recent. So if you're into that style of game, this will be right up your street. I think they've talked about how essentially they're trying to present you with kind of almost historically accurate starting points, and they've got over 60 or around 60 different cultures that you can start as, and then it's all about sort of building sort of your story with that culture and taking in whatever direction that you want to in that sort of Civilization style of game. So that's the other one that really stood out to me.
Very nice indeed, my friend. No, that's fantastic. Next time, I knew there was a reason I asked when I did a previous show about videos, is I asked ahead of time what games people wanted to talk about.
Sorry about that.
That's not your fault, it's my fault. I'm learning as I go, as you can tell. I just wanted to bring up a couple actually, because I know Luke actually really liked this game. I think he has forgotten to mention it, and that is Savior. Do you remember, Luke?
Oh yeah. No, that was a really cool looking game. That was the 2D, quite colourful, wasn't it? And it had that really cool like platforming.
Really had like parkour and stuff, which
is
cool.
And it was like I think they said the combat was like Punch Out inspired.
That's right.
So that looked awesome. Yeah, I did forget about that.
Don't be shameful. I just remember you really liking it when we were watching it. But I think this game is really, really good. Actually, the more I've been checking out after the show as well, it's always sort of takes a little while to really soak it up, I think, on the show, then take it in a bit after. But yeah, like how I feel what this game is going to be like. And if you haven't already checked it out, I really highly recommend checking out Unto the End, because they said Punch Out is an inspiration for the combat, and I think it's going to be quite punishing in a way, I reckon, this game. And in the way Unto the End is, I don't know if any of you guys have checked out Unto the End game. It's on Game Pass, so I highly recommend doing so. Any of you guys checked out Unto the End?
Not just yet. It's actually my list of my very, very long list of games to play.
Not a problem.
Really further down the bottom.
No problem at all.
It's on there to play. Look, it looks cool. So I'm looking
It's a really cool
it
game, actually. Yeah, it's a really nice. It's quite punishing in the way you have to you actually have to read and react the combat, and I feel like that's what this game is going to be doing. And I really like the animations in this game. I really dig the parkour and stuff like that as well. Like I say, it makes it very unique, and the movement is very free flowing. They say just running around is an enjoyable experience, which is pretty damn cool. I really am definitely digging what they're doing with Savior, and yeah, like I say, I feel like it's going to have those elements of being quite punishing, but at the same time, when you get punishing, you get rewarding. So that's always good. So if you get to read and react the combat and get through it that way, I feel like that's a nice element. I just think it looks really good, this game, Savior. Definitely worth checking this one out, guys. Let's just have a quick final check if there's any others. Actually, let's just bring this up actually quickly, because I'd love to get Rand's take, if you don't mind, on this one, because I know he's actually beaten this game. Just a little take on It Takes Two, my friend. What do you think about It Takes Two?
It Takes Two is absolutely incredible. The jump between their previous last game, which was A Way Out, to It Takes Two, definitely showcases the extra money, time, and resources that went into this title, because it looks better and especially plays better, and the puzzles are super intricate. It's just a fantastic... It actually might be the best game of its kind, that co-op action-adventure puzzle game. Like, I know there's not a lot of titles in that genre, but this might be the pinnacle of that genre. Like, the way the puzzles are situated, with each character having a role to play, like in a level, one character has a hammer head and the other character has a nail, and you have to, with the nail, you have to throw it into the boards for the person to use the hammer to swing by, and then she can only destroy the bottles. Like, each level is set up in a scenario just like that, where one person has ability and the other person has ability, and they need to work together to solve everything that goes on. It's totally worth it. It's $40. I highly recommend it. And then if you don't, it is a co-op game. You need to play it with somebody. You can't play it with the computer. So they give you a friend pass, which you can give the game to a buddy who hasn't paid for it, and they can play through the entire thing with you, which is super pro-consumer.
Very cool.
That's a really good move. But yeah, it was very surprising just how well done It Takes Two is. I mean, it really is a remarkable game. It's charming. It looks great. The story's good for what it is. But the amount of fun I had playing with co-op, solving the puzzles, going to the different worlds and stuff, fantastic game. Everybody should play it.
Awesome, my friend. Yeah, I thought you enjoyed it. I was super looking forward to it, actually. Really up my street. I really enjoyed A Way Out. Obviously the same developer, as you say. I really enjoyed that game. This game just feels like it's got that extra level of charm to it. A Way Out was really great, and it had the mechanics. This game's got very kind of it's got the same sort of mechanics. Maybe they've built on that, obviously, as well. I haven't actually got to this one yet, but I can tell. I've been watching people play it, and it's like the intricacies of each sort of puzzle and everything is so well thought through, it seems. But
just to sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
To what Rand said. So I haven't finished it, but I have played
probably
about 4 or 5 hours of it.
Very cool, my friend.
And yeah, it's an astonishing game, actually, in many ways.
That's so great.
I played A Way Out, loved A Way Out, but this is A Way Out is a great game, but it and it does A Way Out does introduce gameplay mechanics as it goes on, but it's very it's very defined by the genre of game that it's trying to be. Whereas this, I don't really want to say too much about how it does things, because it's almost a spoiler to talk about some of the gameplay mechanics that this introduces. But there are moments where you're playing and then it just transitions into effectively a completely different genre of game, on the fly, in certain levels.
Love that.
And it just surprises you. And the great thing about it, which is wonderful, is that it's clearly very deliberate, is that none of the styles of games that are introduced or the mechanics are held for too long. They're kind of picked up, you enjoy them, and then they're literally discarded and you don't see them again.
That is cool. Always fresh then, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really amazing actually to play through it and to think, how much effort's gone into, a mechanic that might only last for 15 minutes of gameplay and it's just been moved on. Because it must have been quite hard work to do that and quite difficult almost to creatively be like, no, we have to let that go even if it's really enjoyable for the player.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point.
So it's a remarkably good game, and I'd recommend that if you've got someone to play it with, you absolutely have to give it a try.
Definite. Great takes from both guys then. That is very high praise for this game. I'm so glad to see it's doing well. I've heard a lot of great things from other people too. I've got to play. I think I've been deliberating with it is because my wife's going to hate me for saying this, but I'm not sure if she can handle it because she doesn't like it when you have to control the camera on the right stick. And this game's got a lot of that, hasn't it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. She's not a gamer. She plays some games. She's completed a few games, but smaller, sort of simplistic 2D games usually. But yeah, that's the tricky part. But maybe I'll just have to. We'll see.
Why do you say that? Because I had earlier the exact same discussion with my wife.
No way.
She's really not a gamer.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes I find those little games that I can play with her. Unravel 2, for instance, we beat that a couple of weeks ago.
Exactly.
I was trying to convince her to play this one, but she asked the exact same question. Do I have to control the camera?
That's so funny. That is so funny. And women are supposed to be good at multitasking, eh? Oh, I've just lost 1 million subscribers.
But I see that the same with my little son. When I played Mario the other day with him, and he really has a problem because he's not used to control the camera. I think we are over the years we got so used to it. But I think for someone who is new to gaming, that seems really to be a problem. He has no problem in jumping with Mario and moving around, but moving the camera around.
It's so funny that, isn't it? Yeah.
Breaks his brain somehow. Yeah.
It's that sort of dual thing you have to sort of do. I don't know, it's a funny one, But yeah, maybe we'll try it. But if not, I might have to pull one of you guys in for the rescue or something. Just like lovers playing it. But did you play it with a significant other around or Luke, or did you play it with just a friend, or did you play it with, if you don't mind me asking, that is?
I played it. I played it with my other half, but she, luckily for me, is a really big gamer. So she's multitasking that and Bloodborne at the moment. So,
right, that's pretty cool.
She's trying
You're
to
safe.
Get through that, so. She's better than me, to be fair. So that's
nice. Love it. Good stuff. Okay, well then, guys, I think we've been going quite a while and we've covered some great games today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think we should probably wind things up there. It has been such a fun show. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of it. Thank you so much in the chat, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, all you guys on the panel. You've been so awesome, and sorry for being a little bit longer. As always, I'm trying to bring it down. It never happens. Archimedes was right when he said it never is a short show. But just trying to get it. I mean, I've still got games I could talk about now, but then it is all about being concise, and I'm not very good at that. So when it comes to live stuff, anyway, that's why I do videos, edit them down. But yeah, it's been so much fun, guys. You've got a fantastic crew today. So let's firstly say thank you so much to Archimedes for joining us once again. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, brother. Definitely will be hitting you up again. It's like I say, it's so much fun hanging with you, chatting indie games. It's you're a great guy, so I really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, where can they find you, my friend?
Yeah, first of all, thanks again for having me. It's been a blast as always. I loved the panel. Scott, Luke, and Rand. It's been a blast with you guys. So thanks again for having me. And yeah, people can find me basically everywhere on Twitter, PlayStation, Xbox, and of course here on YouTube at Boxenberger. I'm always up for a chat. Hit me up and play some games. Let's talk games.
Very nice, buddy. Awesome stuff. Yep, you're a great guy to talk to. Definitely, always so positive, and I love that about you. And yeah, thanks again for being on, brother. And I'm going to go next to my man Randall for absolute honor today, my friend. Yeah, like I've said before, you know, I think a lot of you very, very much so, and complete bucket list tick off today. And being able to chat games with you is truly an absolute treat for me. So thanks so much for being part of it, Rand. And yeah, obviously I know everyone already knows where they can find you and who you are, but where can they find you, brother?
Yeah, as somebody's calling me on the phone. Yeah, it was fun being on the show, Indy, and meeting Archimedes and Luke and Scott. But yeah, you know, if you want to check out the channel, it's youtube.com/RandallThor19. And yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
My pleasure, brother. Honestly, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for being here. It wouldn't be a Rand featured on podcast without one of your phone calls in the background. You gotta love it.
Yeah, pretty much. Happens all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's always Phil Spencer and on the phone. But yeah, no, absolute pleasure, bro. Thank you so much for being here and being so awesome as always. Yeah, next up, thank you so much to Luke. We've been hanging quite a bit lately, and I love it every minute of hanging with you, brother. You bring always great takes and great passion for indies, which I love, of course, and you're just a great guy too. So thank you so much for being part of this show again, my friend. And where can they find you, my friend?
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's always a blast hanging with you, and today particularly with Archimedes and Rand and Scott, who I hang with quite regularly. So it's less of a starstruck moment with Scott, but he knows that. So yeah, that's it. I'm at LukeSteele90 on Twitter, and I'm also on the Green Pass Gaming podcast, which is on every Sunday on YouTube at 8 p.m. UK time, and with Scott and Flap and Pucks, who are all fantastic. So please join into to that if you can.
Definitely.
Yeah, and awesome show, Indy. You know, I love chatting with you, and it's always awesome being a part of this.
Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate it. It means a lot. Yeah, it's definitely we'll be having to do so again in the future if you're up for that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Hell
yeah, my friend. Thank you very much. And finally, last but definitely not least, is my man Scott. Thank you so much for once again being a part of a Indie Games podcast or a show on this channel of some sort. It's always a blast hanging with you, Scott. You're always awesome, just like your pal who's from I said pal like you normally say then. Just for you, that was your pal from the Green Pass Gaming crew. You're all great guys, and it's always an absolute honor and pleasure having you on. So thank you so much again, Scott. And where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you very much again, Indy. It's been an absolute pleasure spending so much time on. Thank you very much. As Luke mentioned, I'm assuming I'm breaking up again there, so I'm going to.
It did a little bit, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, I do need to look into why that is. So my apologies for when that's happened in the show. But yeah, you can find me on Green Pass Gaming Sunday night 8 p.m. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at SX2 Gaming. So thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. No, my pleasure. Have you on? Thank you so much for being part of it. I'll we'll speak in DMs if you like. I'll try and work out if you need any help. Try and figure out your mic. I'll try and help you out with that if you. all good, brother. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone in the chat. You're amazing. It's such a pleasure to be able to bring indie game goodness into your lives, and share it out. And that's what it's all about. This channel is sharing that indie games love. And maybe you see a game that you thought, actually, maybe I'll check that game out. That is awesome. Share it about, and we love that. Also, guys, I have actually popped it down into the chat for the first time. If you're watching this show and you did want to join the Discord, feel free to hit up the link in the description below. It's a great crew of guys in there chatting games and indie games especially. If you want to join a sort of community of great chats and stuff, feel free to hit up the Discord. It'll be a pleasure to have you. But otherwise, thank you so much, everyone who has checked out this show. Thank you so much, all of you guys in the chat. I'm just going to quickly shout out a few of you, like the Dazanator. Thank you so much for being here. Judzilla, Stubbs Gaming, Dragon Wolf, Assassin Looper, Matt Burns, thank you for being here, brother. Who else did we have? Chief Nagel in the house, Graphic God, and Mike from NLG, Smokeback Official, Pong Soul, Jubei Sensei in the house, HDK, That Mama Rocks, and everyone else who is here. Thank you so much for being here. It really is It doesn't mean the world to me, so thank you. And yeah, we're going to wind it up there, guys. Once again, thank you for being here, and we'll be back again 2 weeks today, actually, with another Indie Games podcast and maybe some video action in between of the indie variety. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.